only one other pitcher in the majors who's had that many errors made behind him. That is Daniel Cabrera of the Nationals, who last night after the game was designated for assignment. So I guess Santana's all by himself.
Only makes sense, though. The Nationals have made the most errors in baseball.
Christian Guzman 3 for 9 in this series, 6th in the National League, hitting at .348, and he swings and misses at the first pitch fastball from Santana, 0-1. Guzman is Santana's former teammate in Minnesota, and he has as good numbers against Johan as anybody in the game. He is 8 for 14 against Santana. Not too many sport those numbers against Johan.
They were teammates for 5 seasons when Christian Guzman was a triples machine. In 6 years, he had 61 triples for the Minnesota Twins.
Nick Johnson on deck, and then Ryan Zimmerman here in the opening inning. The Nats now 13 and 32 on the season, despite their good offensive numbers. 1-2, and Guzman down swinging at the changeup, and Santana begins the night with a strikeout.
Well, good sign for Santana. He's got that changeup working early. The bottom just drops out of that. And that's to a guy that not owns Santana. Hard to say that, but has had great numbers, as Gary said. This whole Washington team, really, 26 for 83 in this lineup with 4 home runs. That's almost a .320 clip.
Well, Nick Johnson hit a home run against Santana the last time the Nats faced the Mets here in April. In fact, that was the only run Santana gave up. Johnson hit a bullet to the left field corner that just cleared the wall. It's his only hit in 11 career at bats against Santana. Santana in his last 14 home starts, both here and at Shea, has given up 2 runs or less. 14 starts in a row, 2 runs or less. How rare is that? Well, it ties the best streak since 1900. 2 pitchers in the first decade of the 20th century had 14 straight home starts, allowing 2 runs or less. Santana the first since then.
You know, sitting at home, the reason Gary and I always give you these kind of stats, because historically this game has been around forever. And when you have someone do something that hasn't been done for 50, 60, 70, 80 years, shows you how special he is.
In this case, it's more than 100 years. Here's the 2-1 to Johnson, popped up foul. Castro didn't know where it was, but it's back out of play, 2-2. Castro was not supposed to start tonight. Omir Santos was. He was in the original lineup that Jerry Manuel wrote down. But you have to remember, Santos fouled the ball off his shin last night, and it was aching enough that Jerry figured better to give Santos today, and of course tomorrow's a day off, so 2 days off before getting him back there on Friday night. So an opportunity for Castro to catch Santana. 2-2, and Johnson takes inside, and a full count to Johnson with Ryan Zimmerman on deck. Now the 3-2. Up the middle, Martinez snags it beautifully, up and firing, but Murphy can't scoop it, and Johnson is safe. What an effort by Ramon Martinez, going behind the bag to somehow snag that grounder, but Murphy trying the swipe couldn't quite pick it clean.
Well, just a beautiful play here, a little in between hop for Daniel Murphy, but we've seen him now with a couple of dives of late. In the Santana game in Boston, he made a great play, and the sweep by Murphy, and he can't come up with it. Santana tries to get it with the kick save, but just by him. If you notice, when Murphy went for that sweep, the glove was not open. So got to make sure you keep that hand as wide open as you can.
They scored a base hit for Nick Johnson. So 1 out and 1 on, and Ryan Zimmerman coming up. Zimmerman last night took an 0-for, went 0-for-4, and with that his 43-game streak of reaching base came to an end, a new franchise record. Takes it outside as he stopped the swing in time, 1-0. Zimmerman off to a great start at a 30-game hitting streak earlier this year. He's in the top 10 in batting and home runs, RBIs, doubles, slugging percentage, 3rd in the league in runs scored.
Got a nice lineup, those first 4 hitters: Guzman, Johnson, Zimmerman, and Dunn.
days that the Nats get decent pitching, they've got a chance.
They got decent pitching yesterday. The problem was Stammen only was able to go 5 innings. As soon as he left the game, boom, 3 runs on the board.
Well, these pitchers are pitchers too.
That's it's old starting pitcher speaking there. I apologize.
2-0 to Zimmerman. And he fouls one at the plate. I don't know if his foot. 2-1.
I guess what I was trying to say is that for this team with this young pitching staff, and the bullpen has been struggling for them so far this season, they've got to go deeper into games if they're going to try to get some wins on the board.
And that's hard because you're talking about a very, very young group of starting pitchers, all 25 or less, all with 2 years of experience or less.
I was impressed with Stammen last night, though. He's got a chance.
I think all those guys do.
They do.
Now Santana's 2-1, and he misses the inside corner with a fastball. Sam Holbrook, the home plate umpire. It's 3-1 to Zimmerman.
Well, there's a pitch you usually have seen. He usually has that pitch locked in, Santana. That ball kind of knee-high inside corner. Has not been able to make it yet in this game.
Santana, over his first 7 starts, was almost reaching the point of being unhittable. Then he had the game in San Francisco on that Saturday afternoon when he faced Randy Johnson, and he got hit around a little bit, gave up a home run to Aaron Rowan, kind of staggered for the first time this season, but won because the Mets scored for him. Zimmerman swings and misses the changeup 3-2. Then he came back in Boston, and again he was hit a little bit, gave up a home run in that game as well, and he had to work himself out of a lot of situations. So the last 2 have been a little different for Johan.
Yeah, he hasn't been where his fastball, when he has his fastball throwing it where he wants to and it's ahead, that changeup was always going to put him away.
3-2 to Zimmerman with Johnson at first, not running, and it's too high, ball 4, and the Nats have 2 men on for Adam Dunn. So an uneven start for Santana here in the opening inning. Your umpiring quartet tonight: Sam Holbrook, Adrian Johnson, Larry Vanover, the crew chief, and Dan Iasonia, who made that great call on the play at the plate last night with Santos tagging out Josh Bard. Tonight is at third. So here's Dunn, who accounted for the only run for the Nats last night with an opposite field home run against Livan Hernandez. Now it's 15 for the year, 40 driven in, third in the league in both categories. And the first pitch fastball foul back.
Also got his 1,005th last night, and for home run hitters, it usually takes them a little longer to get those hits.
It has been phenomenal this year what Santana has done with runners in scoring position. The Red Sox were 0 for 10 in RBI situations against them last Friday. One weapon that's generally not in Johann's arsenal is the double play grounder. He got David Ortiz to ground into a double play in his last start. It was the first ground ball double play Santana had induced since August of last year.
Sam Holbrook, the home plate umpire, has a little tighter strike zone tonight than the prior 2 umpires.
1-1 to Dunn, grounded foul, and it's 1-2. Josh Willingham, for the second straight night, is hitting 5th in the order. He's on deck. To Dunn. He struck him out. Santana with his second strikeout of the opening inning. 2 out and 2 on.
Well, nice pitching here. Fastball. And occasionally you say to yourself, well, that's middle. Why would he throw it there? But he has added 2 or 3 miles an hour on that fastball occasionally, especially when he's ahead.
So Dunn has struck out for the 49th time this year. And now Willingham, who's 2 for 5 in this series. Willingham was with the Marlins the last few years, and the Marlins were a predominantly right-hand hitting team that couldn't hit lefties. Well, Willingham has carried that to Washington. He's hitting 160 against lefties this year. Playing time's been tough to come by for Willingham as he split time with Austin Kearns. Johnson at second and Zimmerman at first with 2 down. Maybe we get a jaundiced view because Willingham seems to have always hit the Mets. But he's kind of gotten buried in Washington. And for a strike at 2-2.
Kind of a hit or miss guy this year. I mean, 6 home runs, that's impressive. And not playing every day, but 9 RBIs only with those 6 home runs.
Well, he's hitting .074 with runners in scoring position. Ronnie Belliard waits on deck. So Santana, with a couple of strikeouts under his belt already, ahead 0-2 on Willingham. And the changeup misses. Castro blocks it nicely, 1-2.
Well, we've already saw early here that Ramon Castro very cognizant that when Santana's ahead, he's going to throw that changeup in the dirt. You have to make sure you get down and dirty.
There have been times this year where Ramon has been more apt to reach for balls in the dirt.
Searching for that grip. What will it be? Fastball, changeup grip.
Willingham fouls it away.
I was asking Mike Lowe for the Red Sox what makes Santana so difficult other than the obvious. He says, you know what? He throws 2 different changeups and he changes speed on his changeups. He says sometimes he'll run that changeup in on the right-hander, sometimes he'll run it away. But he also will throw 5 miles an hour difference depending on the count. He said that's what makes him so difficult. This must be such a natural pitch. That's the fastball grip now. They try to throw it by him.
1-2 to Willingham. Popped up foul. That'll come back out of play.
Wanted it in. More up middle. Still tied him up.
Well, early on, Johan's been in that 90 to 91 range. Not the 93, sometimes 94 we've seen in earlier starts this year. And that could change as the game goes along. It's a cool night. Temperature right around 60 degrees. Again, the 1-2. Pulled, foul. Willingham getting out ahead of that changeup and almost yanked it down the line.
If you're asking at home how you can see what is a changeup or what is a fastball by Santana when he goes to his glove, if you're at home, if you see a lot of white, that's going to be the changeup. If you don't see as much white, it'll be the fastball. Why? When he splits his fingers, you have all that white in between. When he throws his fastball, his fingers are together. Covers more of the ball.
This will be the 27th pitch of the inning from Santana. In there for a call, strike 3. Santana strikes out 3 in the opening inning to work around an infield hit and a walk. And the Mets come up at the bottom of the first with no score. Lineup for tonight. A couple of changes from last night. Daniel Murphy gets the start at first rather than Fernando Tatis. Ramon Castro in there instead of Omir Santos. A double dose of Martinez in the 7 and 8 hole as Fernando makes his second big league start against the rookie right-hander Jordan Zimmerman.
Boy, he's outstanding, has great stuff, but he kind of a good or bad kind of outing so far. In 3 of his starts, 18 1/3 innings, only 5 earned runs. In those other 4 starts, 22 2/3 innings, 21 earned runs. But coming off a great start in his last start, 7 innings, 2 runs, 1 walk, and 7 punch-outs.
That was against Baltimore on Friday night. Angel Pagan leads off his 7th start, leading off and playing center field. And he takes a strike. Pagan in there tonight. The Mets hope that on Friday night, when they resume action against Florida, that Carlos Beltran will be able to play center field. 1-1 to Pagan, who's hitting at .296. 2 for 6 in this series. Thinks about the bunt with Zimmerman playing back even with the bag, and it's 1-2.
You know, when you think about it, Pagan has done nothing but good work. Even despite the injury last year, he was playing well up until that time, and now has played well coming back.
Well, he's displayed speed. He showed off his arm from center field last night. And I think also his approach has changed a little bit. I think he's not as home run conscious as he might have been last year.
Well, it happens, you know, and collegiate ball, you end up hitting a few home runs. I think that you're that kind of player, but he needs to use his speed. Short cut right there, fouling off a tough pitch. Zimmerman will throw 94, 95 miles an hour. Really good slider. He's working on his changeup. Great mental makeup.
Struck out Pagan. That's the first out. So 1 away.
Well, the defense for the Washington Nationals. See Maxwell in center field. He chose Maryland over Harvard. He was such a great student and was a great collegiate player for Maryland. Zimmerman, Guzman, Belliard now has played all 4 infield positions, but 1,100 games at second base. And Nieves doing the catching.
Here's Luis Castillo. He's had a good series so far, 3 for 6 after a tough road trip, and he takes ball 1. Castillo has been playing every day of late because Alex Cora has been hurt. Cora's hoping to come back next week, but in the interim, it's been Castillo and Ramon Martinez playing second and short every day. There's Alex Cora. Now the Mets acquired Wilson Valdez yesterday, a backup type infielder, and Jerry Manuel said he will definitely get Valdez in sometime over the weekend to spell either Castillo or Martinez.
Funny moment today. I went up, you know, a new guy comes, you want to introduce yourself. So I went up and said, "Hi, Wilson. My name is Ron Darling. Nice to meet you." He looked at me and, "Who are you?" It was great. Very humbling moment. It should be.
I thought he was going to tell you that he was once your teammate and you'd forgotten. Wilson's played just about everywhere. He's been with 4 different major league teams. He played in Korea and Japan last year, so he's been all over.
He looked right through me like I was some nutcase. What is he coming up to say hi to me for?
Castillo lines one into left field for a base hit. So the Mets have a 1-out base runner in the bottom of the first, and David Wright coming up. So Castillo continues his rejuvenated stroke here at Citi Field. David continues to punish the baseball. 4th in the National League with that .349 average. 3rd in the league with a .452 on base percentage. He's already drawn 31 walks this year. He's drawn 94 each of the last 2 seasons, a career high, and he's likely to outstrip that this year the way he's going. Takes the fastball in tight. Now Wright was not going well back in April when the Mets faced Zimmerman the first time, and in fact Zimmerman struck him out 3 times. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on here second time around. The slider off the plate, 2-0.
And why is Wright walking more? I think there's 2 reasons. One is that Sheffield on deck. He is recognizing when pitchers want to pitch to him, and when they don't want to, he'll take that walk. And also the fear factor. Pitchers just know how good he is.
Fouls back the 2-0 fastball. Well, for the most part, Dave has been hitting 5th. and there hasn't been a whole lot behind him in the lineup. Now he's hitting third, at least for tonight, with Beltran out, and he's got Sheffield behind him. That's a help, especially as hot as Gary's been. See how hot he's been in May. Castillo with 6 stolen bases this year. The Mets have 49, the most in the league. Good fastball by Zimmerman, 2-2.
Well, that's the equalizer there. The Zimmerman, when he gets behind, still has the ability to throw one down the middle, but has enough on it to beat David on a fastball count.
There was an IO pitch differential waiting to happen there, but no contact. Here's the 2-2. Up and away, and a full count to David with Sheffield on deck.
And there's the difference right there. Earlier in the season, David probably swinging through that high fastball, taking it now. This is close.
So if Castillo runs, you got a strikeout pitcher on the mound, and Wright has already struck out 46 times at the plate, so perhaps not. Not going, and David lifts one foul.
This is the point where, as a pitcher, when you're on the mound, you know that you have a tough hitter up. You're throwing some of your best pitches, and they keep fouling them off. And the more pitches they foul off, you're going to make a mistake at some point. And that's what David's been doing in the month of May.
Again, the 3-2. This time Castillo runs and Wright grounds one through the hole. Castillo takes off for third. Willingham's throw. Safe. Aggressive base running by Luis Castillo, and the Mets have first and third.
Well, when you don't have a power game, this game lends itself to playing some aggressive baseball. And this team has been playing a lot more aggressive. They talked in spring training and making sure, pushing the envelope, going from first to third. No better example than Castillo on this play.
Interesting that Jerry did not have him running the first 3-2 pitch, but Wright had a pretty good cut, so he figured he's going to make contact. He sends him on the second 3-2 pitch.
It's almost David sold Jerry because he stayed in the at-bat.
And that helped Castillo go to third on a ball hit to left. So now Sheffield, who's been red hot, 3-run homers the last 2 nights, and a chance here in the opening inning. Gary now with 504 career home runs, tying Eddie Murray for 24th on the all-time list. And since he's been playing regularly the last 2 weeks, he has been raging hot. And he takes a strike from Zimmerman. That's the biggest question on Gary right now, is how much can he play and maintain the level that he's at.
We were talking the last couple of seasons with Moises Alou that he was no one more outstanding when he played, but could not stay on the field.
Sheffield drives one toward the gap in right center field. That's going to be down and to the wall. Castillo scores. Wright being waved around third. No relay throw. It's a 2-run double for Gary Sheffield, and it's 2-0 New York. Gary Sheffield keeps hitting bullets everywhere.
Well, Gary's effective one more night with this hanging slider from Zimmerman. Goes with the pitch. Drove that ball to right center field. Castillo has to wait. He knows that's going to be a base hit. Does not have to tag. And Wright showing good speed and a good read. And cutting those bases can score the second Mets run standing up. This start very much like Zimmerman's first start, where he needed 30 pitches to get through the first inning. Wants the ball down. Slider up in the strike zone against Sheffield. Well, he showed he could hit just about every pitch from last night. That pitch off Bergman. But that's a dangerous pitch against Gary.
Your IOTV pitch differential. Sheffield now with 11 RBIs in the last 6 games, 19 for the year. Now Daniel Murphy put in the 5-hole tonight. Struggling at the plate, 4 for his last 43. Daniel did not start the last 2 nights. Monday, not a surprise because John Ladden, the lefty, started. Last night, more of a surprise because there was a righty on the mound. But Jerry Manuel said he felt that Murphy just needed a break, the way things have been going for him at the plate.
Well, Murphy's such a technical kind of hitter See him in that film room all the time, looking at the computer, looking at the opposing pitcher. And sometimes you just need a mental break to get away from it. Don't be so technical. I think Hojo's working with him on that. Let the talent flow.
Zimmerman ahead 0-2. And Murphy watches wide. Now the Mets with 2 more first-inning runs here at Citi Field. They've now outscored the opposition 31-9 in the first inning here. Part of why the Mets have gone 14-8 in their new ballpark. Tied up. Did he go around? He went around. Strike 3. Third base umpire Dan Iasonia punches out Murphy. That's the second strikeout for Zimmerman.
Well, tough call there. Murph wanted to hold up, but that ball in fooled him. And you'll see, even if his bat doesn't go all the way across, that look right there tells the umpire at third base to call him, punch him out.
It's all about intent.
Exactly.
So now Ramon Castro, who in his last start on Sunday at Fenway Park had a home run and a double. Hitting .318 with runners in scoring position this year. He's got Sheffield at second with 2 out. And Ramon takes a slider for a strike. Here's Santos, caught the first 2 games of this series, but scratched tonight because of soreness in his shin where he fouled the ball off last night. Castro late on the fastball, and it's 0-2.
When you watch Zimmerman throw, he might remind you of a little bigger version of Roy Oswalt of the Houston Astros. Has a very quick move to the plate, kind of short arms the ball up there.
Santos scratched tonight. Here's why. Direct hit on that shin.
He was standing around for a long time, but proceeded to hit a double on the next pitch.
And had to run on that bruised chin into second base. And a bemused look when he got there, like, no, I'll take the double, but that didn't feel so good. Fernando Martinez hitting 7th in the order tonight, waiting on deck. 0-2 and a breaking ball in the dirt, 1-2.
Oh, that's his 29th pitch. Said before, it took him 30 pitches in the first start he had here at Citi Field. Only went 5 1/3 in that game, 103 pitches.
Santana threw 27 in the top of the inning, but he was able to get out of trouble. But the Mets cashed 2 on Sheffield's hit. 1-2 to Castro. Fouled away. And Ramon hangs in there. Zimmerman was very impressive in that start. Gave up just the 1 run on 6 hits, but because of the pitch count, had to exit nonetheless. The Nats won that game easily, 8-1. The next 4 starts after that, he got bruised. His ERA in those 4 starts was 8.34 before the good outing against Baltimore Friday. Castro keeps fouling him away.
Well, his slider right here in the first inning is up. And I think you've noticed, fans at home, that the first couple of fastballs he throws to Mets hitters, he really surprised them and he beats them to the spot. But as they get longer and longer into the at-bat, they're more in sync with that fastball. It's Randy St. Clair, fine pitching coach for the Washington Nationals.
And a lot of young charges right now. In there for a call, strike 3. That fastball surprised Castro. 3 strikeouts in the first inning for each starter. But the difference is the Mets have Sheffield. And Sheffield right now is getting big hit after big hit. A 2-run Meet and mingle with the Mets tomorrow night at the Mets Foundation Teammates in the Community fundraiser presented by Gatorade. For tickets, call 718-803-4074.
We're going to have almost all the players there. Remember now, not only does it raise money for the Mets Foundation, but also for a lot of the charities of the players on the New York Mets.
It's going to be a great night at Richards in Greenwich tomorrow night, so be sure to be on hand. That phone number again, 718-803-4074. Ronnie Belliard pops one up, and Ramon Martinez waiting for it. One away.
I just saw Rusty in the cafeteria. Rusty Staub's going to be there. The legends are going to be there. Seaver, Rusty Staub, Darryl Strawberry, Johnny Franco.
That's a lot of heavyweights right there. And I mean that only in the figurative sense.
Yeah, they'll take exception, Gary. Watch yourself.
Here's Justin Maxwell playing center field tonight. 3 for 18 since being called up, and he takes a strike. 5th game that he started. Washington has run through a host of center fielders already this year. Elijah Dukes is on the disabled list. They're hoping to get him back before too terribly long. And Santana gets ahead on Maxwell 0-2.
Well, he was a great collegiate player at Maryland, and he's had stops and starts to his career mainly because of injury.
In there for a call, strike 3. Got him looking at that changeup. That's 4 strikeouts already for Santana.
That was a good morning, good afternoon, and good night there. That changeup down. Maxwell saw that below the knees, but not to be for Sam Holbrook, the home plate umpire.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Will Nieves doing the catching.
That's the same pitch your guy got.
And Holbrook is getting some heat from the third base dugout and just yelled in, saying it's the same pitch that your pitcher got.
Listen, when you're 13 and 32, it gets very frustrating on that side of the dugout.
Not sure who it was who was giving Holbrook a hard time, but he gave back. Now Nieves, who takes high for ball 1. The Nationals operating without their #1 catcher Jesus Flores these days. They hope to have him back by the weekend. And Manny acted now without Josh Bart as well for tonight. Bart has gone home because his wife is about to give birth. So he's got Nieves, and they just called up Luke Montz to be the backup for it tonight.
That's a good pitch. That's the same pitch your guy got.
By the way, that kind of banter between umpires and the bench happens more than you think.
We were fortunate to hear it.
Yes, we were.
Some things we might not want to hear.
And we heard the whole sentence. Sometimes you can't hear everything. You're not allowed to anyways.
Nieves swinging out of his socks at that fastball, and it's 1-2. Nieves has swung the bat well. He's 2 for 3 in this series, hitting over 300 for the year. Not known for his bat, former Yankee. 1-2 from Santana, hit hard, but right at the shortstop Martinez. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Santana after a more difficult first. Santana given the lead, holds on to it. It's 2-0 Mets. shot of downtown Manhattan. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by SuperGuarantee.com. Attention Met fans, you could win an Empire Suite for 16 people, including food and beverages, for the Mets-Dodgers game July 7th. Go to SuperGuarantee.com and register using reference code METS. We'll also be collecting children's book donations at the game this Friday, May 29th, benefiting local boys and girls clubs. Home second inning, Fernando Martinez's second big league game. Last night, Fernando went 0 for 3, drove in a run on a fielder's choice. Well, David Wright had a very interesting quote about Fernando post-game. He said, "He's a little nervous tonight, had a lot to handle. Tomorrow it's time to get down to play." Bouncing ball, Belliard to his right on the backhand. The quick toss just in time to get the speedy Martinez for the first out.
Well, nice play by Belliard. Had trouble getting it out of the glove. Let me take that back. He got that out pretty quickly and makes a nice play. Gets enough on that throw to get Mr. Martinez by half a step. I saw Martinez in practice today, batting practice, hit one to the bridge.
Really?
In right center.
Here's Ramon Martinez, no relation. I just thought that was a very interesting comment coming from David, and it's one of those step forward and maybe exert yourself a little bit more. You know, he has gone through that relatively recently. Yes. He only came up 5 years ago and knows what it's like to be dazzled that first day in the big league.
Because I was not here when they came up. Reyes, of course, before Wright. Was Reyes the bigger? This is going to be the player that changed the Mets, or was Wright?
No,
Wright was.
It was Wright. Okay. I mean, Reyes was a phenomenon.
Yeah.
As Martinez goes down looking for the second out. But David Wright was a guy that Met fans have heard about for a long, long time. And remember that when Wright came up, you know, Reyes was struggling with injuries that year, that 2004 season, and David fairly burst on the scene. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Santana. 1 for 13 this year. He takes a strike.
Sometimes when you're a starting pitcher, you get up for that first at bat, and they throw 2 balls by you, go, you know what? I wasn't really ready.
Santana strikes out on the pitch in the dirt, and Nieves completes the putout. So it's a 1-2-3 inning for Jordan Zimmerman. He's got 5 strikeouts first time through the batting order, but it's Santana and the Mets who have a 2-0 lead. Check out SNY.TV for up-to-the-minute sports news, exclusive interviews, original content, special features, video highlights, and the best inside scoop from a complete network of New York team blogs. It's all on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Johan Santana leading the National League in ERA, not leading the major leagues because young Zach Greinke threw another complete game, allowing just 1 run last night.
5 complete games now. What is he? 0.84, I believe his ERA is.
8-1 on the year. As Zimmerman fouls it back. Jordan Zimmerman looking for his first big league hit. He's gone 0 for 12.
We made a big thing of Levon last night, and we should have, but Greinke has 5 complete games now.
Pretty impressive. Interesting that nobody in the National League, no pitcher, has won more than 6 games this year. Santana tied for the league lead in wins, despite having a couple of games where Mets didn't score for him or made errors behind him. 2 losses and no decision this year. He gets Zimmerman, and so like Zimmerman, Johan has 5 strikeouts first time through the batting order. An impressive strikeout start.
Well, that's a good pitch for Santana. Even though it's against the pitcher and he gets the strikeout, that's what you're supposed to do. He got that close to that inside corner where he's going to have to use against the top of this lineup.
So 1 out and nobody on. Who's Guzman, who struck out his first time up.
I was wrong last night. I said Guzman had 19 triples 1 year. It was 20. I shortchanged him.
That's a lot of triples. One Met has ever had as many as 20 triples in a year. That was Lance Johnson, who set the club record with 21. I figured Reyes would be pushing double digits by now. We're playing in this ballpark.
Lance Johnson, I don't know if he did it on when he had 21 triples, but he would hit that ground ball over the first base bag.
Every time. I would say that at least 15 to 17 of the 21 were just that way. And he would bust it out of the box and beat it every time. And he claimed, it never happened that year, he claimed that he had never been thrown out trying for a triple. Wow. It never happened. He was never thrown out that year. I think this year was the first time we saw Reyes thrown out trying for a triple. Guzman left one foul. Because that was on a ball in left center. Different. Guzman hitting .429 as a right-hand batter this year. That's the 3rd best mark of anybody in the league against left-handed pitching. But not your standard issue lefty. Strikes out Guzman. That's the 2nd time he's gotten Christian Guzman. 6 overall for Santana through the first 10 batters. Good changeup. Right down the middle. The changeup just doesn't adequately describe that pitch because it's such a power kind of pitch, even though it's a change of pace. I was trying to do some research today. Christy Mathewson, they used to call it the old fadeaway. We're going to come up with a name. Or one of our fans will help. Well, you know, it's interesting having watched Tom Glavine's changeup over the course of 4 or 5 years, you know, every start that he made. He was so dependent on the location of that changeup. Santana seems to be able to throw that changeup in the hitting zone and still get success with it. It's almost like he says, you know what, I'm going to really sell it here so it doesn't matter where I throw it. Johnson takes a fastball for a strike because, you know, if Glavine threw a changeup in the middle of the plate, he got hit. Yes. He was dependent on nicking that outside corner, getting that little downward movement. Johnson had an infield hit his first time up, and he takes low 2-1. It's the only hit for the Nats. You know, we talked a lot about Johnson as Zimmerman waits on deck and his ability to take pitches and work the count. We forgot to mention that he got his chops with all those great teams for the New York Yankees. 248 games he played with those championship teams. And they were known as a team that used to work the count. Well, he fit right in there. But he never got a chance to play as much as they would have hoped. He had back problems primarily that short-circuited his career in New York. He had 1 year he had 70 base on balls and just over 300 at bats. 2-2. He struck him out. Johan Santana strikes out the side in the 3rd inning. 7 punch-outs for Santana. 2-0 Mets. 2-0 lead, and Kevin Burkhardt is standing by with a special guest.
Yeah, and this woman certainly needs no introduction. It's Edie Falco, certainly a critically acclaimed actress. She has done a lot, that's for sure, and now she's going to be doing even more. A new show, Nurse Jackie, coming out on Showtime. It debuts on June 8th. Well, give me a little lowdown. What's the show all about?
Well, Jackie is a nurse in an emergency room in a hospital in Manhattan. That's the lowdown. And
give me some, what do we expect from the show? What kind of nurse? What are the sidebars here?
She's complicated, to say the very least. She's got a lot of personality, a lot of.
As we pause for the action, as that one will drop in, so Pagan leads off on first for the Mets. A lot of personality, huh?
A lot of personality, a lot of passion. She loves what she does, and she does it well. But she does some very odd things en route to that. So.
You obviously have done so many different things. Have you ever gone out in public and people mistake you for a character and not for you?
That happens all the time. Yes, I'm afraid. People come up to me all the time and say, "Oh, Carmela, and I recognize you with your disguise." My disguise being, a jeans and a T-shirt, which is what I wear in my real life. So.
You can't be a real human being. That's not allowed.
It's all a huge compliment. I hope that means that they like the show. So
we got to talk about your first pitch because it was a good one.
Well. Thank you very much.
Now, you stood behind the rubber, though. You're actually supposed to stand in front of that, so you made it harder on yourself.
Nobody tells you these things. I just showed up there, and they said on the mound, and I stood on the mound. So.
Bunt attempt by Castillo is so good, there's no throw, and the Mets have first and second with nobody out here in the third. Did your family have any kind of a baseball background growing up in Brooklyn? What was the background for you?
Dad, it was the Dodgers, of course, so he's still not over that. But Mets, all from the 69 Mets to the 86 Mets. I mean, we have been obsessed. So this is very fitting that I would end up here with my own son all these years later. It's pretty exciting.
It's great to see you here, and certainly good luck on the new show, okay?
Thank you so much. A pleasure.
Guys, Edie Falco, it's Nurse Jackie, June 8th on Showtime. We look forward to that. And, by the way, I don't know what the first pitch means for Baba Booey. Just saying.
It's no contest is what it is. Meanwhile, the Nationals fumbling around on defense, and the Mets have the table set for David Wright, who had a hit-and-run single his first time up and takes a slider for a strike. Well, Angel Pagan hitting one off the glove of Guzman for a hit, and then Castillo laying down a bunt, and nobody covered first base.
Well, the problem is that Nick Johnson came in. Once he comes in, Belliard has got to proceed to first base. Simple mistake by the Nationals.
So no errors. The Nationals have more errors than any team in the majors, but nonetheless, a play not made and then a mental mistake made that gives the Mets a couple of base runners. It goes in the books as 2 base hits, but can't make the manager happy. And David takes inside 2-1.
If you're an infielder and you're Belliard, you've got to be thinking ahead that Castillo is a guy that's going to be bunting. So I've got to be cognizant while I'm out there that what's going to happen if he lays down a bunt. I've got to get towards first base in case Nick Johnson charges. Very simple, not difficult.
Good slider by Zimmerman, 2-2. David asking Sam Holbrook whether that was in the strike zone.
Sam, we've seen, he'll definitely tell you.
It's vocal. 2-2 from Zimmerman. In there for a call, strike 3. So Zimmerman has struck out Wright 3 times first time around. Gets him this time. That's 6 strikeouts tonight for Jordan Zimmerman.
Nice job by the young man, coming right after David, getting ahead with him with the slider and then freezing him on that fastball away. These are the little moments, Gary, when you see with young pitchers, when they get in trouble, do they freeze up? Do they not want to throw strikes? Zimmerman just the opposite, going right after him.
Now the sizzling hot Gary Sheffield, who drove in the only 2 runs in this game with a double to right center. And he's got 2 aboard here with Pagan and Castillo on base. Sheffield now with 11 RBIs in the last 6 games.
The Nationals in this series, Gary Sheffield, this must look like the 1998 version, not the 2009 version. Not missing many pitches right now.
He has really turned it up since he's gotten a chance to play every day. And he takes a curveball that misses for ball 1. It's been about 2 weeks now that Sheffield has had the job to himself since Delgado went down. He's been the just about everyday cleanup hitter. And look at that. Over those 13 games, hitting .429, 14 RBIs. I mean, who would have thought this when the Mets signed Sheffield? He was released at the end of spring training by the Tigers and cost the Tigers $14 million. The Mets took a flyer, paying him the minimum. And right now they're getting the maximum.
Well, I think there were definitely more naysayers than people that were on Sheff's side. But, you know, there an interesting thing happened. Jerry Manuel talked to Jimmy Leland. Jimmy Leland said he can still play. He just can't play for us. He doesn't fit on our team. That happened to me when I was coming from here in the Mets and ended up in Oakland. Tony La Russa called Jimmy Leland and said, you know what, he can still get people out. Sometimes you need that.
And probably the most important thing that happened when Gary got here is when he wasn't playing, he was a model citizen in that clubhouse. In fact, very much a positive influence among his younger teammates.
Well, he's done it. He has it on the back of his baseball card. These kids honor this play.
3-1 pitch. Good breaking ball in for a strike. 3-2. That had him buckled.
You know, at some point, if you're a veteran hitter and you have the resume that he does, and you come into a clubhouse and you fit in, the younger guys, boy, hey, Sheffield is awesome.
And by the way, he's got 500 home runs. Yeah. Runners don't go. Ryan Zimmerman knocks it down, gets the out at second, and that's all. So instead of a double play grounder, because Zimmerman had to knock it down rather than field it clean, the inning continues.
You know, we've seen a lot of this at third base, even with David Wright. With this topspin, that one hop has been kind of an in-between hop, not only for Zimmerman, but also for David Wright. But not making a play on a bunt, not able to turn two on a ball that's a ground ball to the third baseman. Things that challenge a young pitcher in Zimmerman.
So Pagan getting out of the way there. Zimmerman didn't make a play on him. If he had, he could have been called for going out of the baseline. Here's Daniel Murphy, who grounds one down to first, past Johnson and into right field, a base hit. Pagan comes in to score, and it's 3-0 New York. Now that's one that Murph really needed. Just got it by a terrific fielder, Johnson, to drive in his 13th run of the year and his first in about 3 weeks.
And very interesting, a pitch that when Murphy's going well, very rarely swings at a first pitch curveball, but just got that out of the reach of Johnson.
So it produces a run. And the Nationals' inability to make plays in this inning, which should have been long over, has cost them at least one run. Now Castro with 2 out and 2 on. Took a call, third strike his first time up. Waves at the slider, 0-1. That was a terrific play. Marquise Grissom. Right to the shortstop Guzman, who makes the flip to end the inning, but the Mets get a gift run in the bottom of the third. Murphy drives it home, and it's 3-0 New York. We'll be back, but first here's Matt Cerrone from MetsBlog.com. 3G. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. Your world delivered. Zimmerman at 95. Santana 92 plus.
Still jacket weather here, Gary.
Temperature in the upper 50s right now. Perfect weather for Santana, who has 7 strikeouts over the first 3 innings. Ryan Zimmerman walked his first time, and he takes a strike. It's been interesting with Santana because he's looked a little annoyed at his location, and yet the results have been tremendous.
I think his last couple of starts, he's been just a little off, but he doesn't let that affect him. His stuff doesn't judge how he pitches. You know, a lot of pitchers not as accomplished as Johan. When they don't feel good, or the ball's not snapping, or they're not able to hit corners, that's going to be a long night for them and the team.
And why and how is he different?
Because he recognizes what he has. So he's saying to himself, you know what, I have a good changeup, so I'm going to have to use that a lot early in the count as opposed to that good fastball as you see Tommy Lasorda. And that way, he's not spotting his fastball. If he gets ahead, then he can throw that fastball up in the strike zone.
1-2, just missed inside. What's Tommy doing here? Dodgers aren't playing tonight.
I'll tell you one thing, Tommy, you can't have Santana. Little cutter in there to Zimmerman, missed inside.
I think he's happy with how his Dodgers are doing. Won again today. They're 33 and 15. 2-2. Foul back. Dan Uggla has homered in Philadelphia. Marlins lead the Phillies 1-0. Burt Badenhop getting the start for Florida tonight against Brett Myers.
Look at that breathing by Santana.
2-2. Going inside. Full count to Zimmerman.
You see those big breaths by Santana. It's very important because when your heart races, you're not getting enough oxygen. So you got to make sure you have those kind of breathing exercises to calm yourself down a little bit. As you get into the game, those get less.
And it's low ball 4, and Zimmerman walks for the second time. The only 2 walks Santana's allowed tonight. And that'll bring up Adam Dunn.
Well, this is one of the key at-bats, Adam Dunn, in this game, because Yohan Santana knows he can't go outside too much with Dunn because of that home run he hit last night's game.
Does that take his slider out of the mix?
It doesn't take his slider out of the mix. It takes his slider over the plate out of the mix. He can throw it in the dirt or off the plate.
And Dunn fouls the first pitch fastball back.
I mean, this shocked everybody. Yes, Levon missed his spot, but that was just a loping swing by Dunn. He makes every ballpark look tiny.
6'6", 240 pounds. He is just... He's enormous, and he hits the ball a long way. A little low, 1-1.
We'll see in the first at bat, 3 fastballs. That changeup that he threw when he got behind in the count that was fouled down the right field line. So you can see that he's going to go mostly with his fastball because he doesn't want to miss with his breaking stuff.
And Dunn hits a rocket to deep right field. Martinez going back and looking, but that is way out of here. Adam Dunn crushes a 2-run homer to tie up the ball to get the Nats within a run at 3-2. 16th home run of the year for Dunn. His second of the series, and that's the longest home run we've seen at Citi Field.
Well, occasionally what you'll have when you face a veteran hitter is that you'll be throwing a certain pitch by him. So what do? They turn it up a notch. This ball out over the plate, middle, and caught up to by Mr. Dunn, who went literally bridge.
Hit hard toward the hole, and a base hit for Josh Willingham on the very next pitch. So after the walk to Ryan Zimmerman, Dunn hits one out of sight. And that's where it went. To the back of the bridge. Somebody's in their clam chowder back there from catch of the day and got surprised.
Well, wanted to try to surprise him outside and down on the knees, and that ball hit the right shin guard of Ramon Castro. That difference resulted in, well, they'll probably come back and say it was 397 feet, but that looked like 450.
It was all of 450 or more. There's a strike to Ron Belliard. I have not heard them announce distances here at Citi Field. I don't think they're doing it. But that ball, I mean, it's 378 at the fence where it went over, and it had to clear by close to 100 feet.
Yes.
Big cut by Belliard, and it's 0-2. I mean, there's no doubt that we haven't seen a home run that far here. And
I think the furthest home run we saw was 8 rows back over the 415 and right center by Delgado.
Off the fist, a foul ball. It's the 5th home run Santana has given up, and he's now given up a home run in each of his last 3 starts. Aaron Rowand in San Francisco, Jason Varitek in Boston, and now Dunn tonight. And by the way, the 2nd home run Dunn has hit against Santana in 6 career at bats. Belliard just got a piece, and that one caught Castro.
Show you one more angle from the left field camera. Dunn hitting that ball out in front. That ball was up in the air forever, by the way.
Look where that landed. Oh. If he hit that ball in Cincinnati, he might have gone in the river.
Yes.
0-2. Belliard fouls off another one. Justin Maxwell waiting on deck. There's a shock value to a home run like that. The crowd's gotten a lot quieter since Dunn hit that.
It's like a murmuring. Did that really happen? Did you see how far he hit that? Off Santana? Really? Can't believe it. I gave up one, Gary, in Chicago against Bo Jackson. Lost the game 1-0, gave it up in the 8th inning. And he hit it so far, I had to watch the board to see how far it was. I had to know. At 478 feet.
Just inside 2-2. You know, pitchers have a perverse sense of that thing. You know, we watched at Shea Stadium one year on opening day when Jeff Innes was pitching for the Mets, and he gave up a home run to Bobby Bonilla that went over the bullpen in right field and hit the team bus. One of the longer home runs hit in that direction. Belliard cracks one to left field. That's deep. Back goes Sheffield onto the warning track to reel it in. And that's the first out as Willingham returns. And the next day after Innes gave up that home run, he went out beyond the bullpen and took a tape measure and walked off how far the home run had gone.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Nice play here by Sheffield. It's interesting. That was kind of the pitch that Sheffield's out for a home run. And when you see a second baseman hit that and it doesn't quite go out, you hear a lot of people on the bench murmuring, little man hit it.
So 1 out in the inning. It's been a rough inning for Santana, starting with the leadoff walk to Zimmerman. Now Justin Maxwell, the number 7 hitter, with the tying run at first and 1 out. You mentioned Bo Jackson, who I think is one of the great American athletes of the 20th century.
Agreed. Thorpe-like. Jim Thorpe, I mean. He honestly never really learned how to play baseball, and he was one of the best players in the game. That tells you how great of an athlete he was.
If he had A, concentrated on baseball, and B, not had his career shortened by the hip injury, I can only imagine what he would have accomplished.
Well, think about it this way. He was built like Castro and could run a 4.240. Hit the ball out of sight. He had a play where Harold Reynolds, who had a lot of speed in Seattle, It was a deep fly ball that was against the wall in left field. He threw Harold out at home plate. I mean, just gigantic player. By the way, one of the nicest people you could ever be around. Usually you have an athlete like that, full of himself, just the opposite from Bo. Just so down to earth.
Well, that's because, oh no. 2-1 to Maxwell. And it's below the knees. And Santana behind 3-1.
Well, that's the pitch that struck out Justin Maxwell before, and now Sam Holbrook not giving it to Santana. And Dan Worthen, I'll tell you, is a little red right now, a little mad.
So now behind in the count, 3-1. Santana throws a fastball inside, ball 4. The second walk of the inning and the third of the night issued by Santana, and that pushes the tying run into scoring position. Well, Santana threw 118 pitches in that start in Boston on Friday night, with an enormous number of them coming in crucial situations. He came back tonight, struck out 7 in the first 3 innings. But all of a sudden in the 4th inning tonight, he looks like a different pitcher.
Well, it really is the ebb and flows of the game, because you talked about the 7 early strikeouts, and then you struggle, and there's realization that comes across you as you're standing out there. You know what? I'm really struggling tonight. How are we gonna change this up? How am I gonna get these guys out? Lucky I'm down at the bottom of this order. Maybe I can get out of this.
Well, the funny thing is, we were talking after the first 3 innings that, you know, he had struck out 7, but he really wasn't feeling all that great about the way things were going. You can just read it in his body language.
You know, outs are outs. You can fall in love with getting strikeouts. That really doesn't mean that the other team isn't zeroing in.
Well, Santana threw 27 pitches in the first inning. He's thrown 24 already in this inning. There's still only 1 out. But now he gets the number 8 hitter, Nieves. Remember we mentioned earlier, Santana only 1 ground ball double play since last August, and that came in his last start. He could sure use one right now. And Nieves fouls it off, 0-1. Nieves grounded out to short his first time up. The only ground ball so far tonight against Santana.
And you think to yourself, how can he not get a ground ball? He throws a lot of changeups. They're going to be out in front of it. Well, his changeup is swung and missed that. That's the difference.
Three to 2 New York, 4th inning.
Dan Worthen's going to start barking at Sam Holbrook too. Very close pitches from Santana, but I have to say Holbrook has the entire game not giving that pitch. Simple as that.
1-1 to Nieves. Just got a piece of it, 1-2. Pitcher Zimmerman on deck.
More fidgety Santana tonight.
One-two. He struck him out. Strikeout number 8 for Santana. 2 down in the inning.
Well, again, good fastball right down the middle, but beat him to the spot. Big swing here by Nieves.
Zimmerman struck out his first time up. Still looking for his first big league hit. He's gone 0 for 13. 2 on and 2 out. Late swing foul, and it's 1-1. Cool but comfortable night at Citi Field. Should be warmer by the weekend. Adam Dunn made things pretty hot with one swing. 1-1 from Santana. And again just off the inside, 2-1. Jordan Zimmerman at one point was a two-way player in college at Wisconsin Stevens Point, Division III school.
I was going to say, it looks a little bit like Stammen last night. Has an idea at the plate.
On 2-1, he takes inside, and now it's 3-1 to Zimmerman, the pitcher, with the leadoff hitter Guzman on deck. So one of those innings for Santana, but he's got big pitches to make here against the opposing pitcher. On 3-1, and he walked him, and the bases are loaded. Third walk of the inning, fourth of the night. And now he's got to face his old teammate Guzman with the bases loaded. Now the bullpen had a night off last night, but they're about to get a phone call.
You're saying to yourself, this is only the fourth inning. Why would they be calling? Well, I think what you have here is that hoping that Santana gets out of it here. You're hoping that he can get through the fifth. But because of the 118 pitches last start, you might not see him go more than 5 innings.
And no extra day of rest. We've seen that Johan functions a lot better on the 6th day than he does on the 5th. So here's Guzman, who struck out twice tonight. Bases loaded, 2 down. And he takes on the outside corner with a changeup, 0-1. So a big batter for Santana, a guy who has hit him very well in the past and knows him well. Guzman now 8 for 16 against Santana. Too high, 1-1. Guzman, the 8th man up in the inning. A walk to Ryan Zimmerman. Dunn hit a monstrous 2-run homer. Willingham followed with a hit. Belliard hit one deep that was caught, but Maxwell walked, and with 2 out, the pitcher walked. And again off the inside, 2-1, and he is not getting that ball to the inside corner for a strike. And so Brian Stokes getting up in the bullpen.
Going to have to change his thinking, even though it goes anti what he feels. Might have to try to throw that fastball in the outside corner. There you go. A lot of different signs there from Castro. A lot of times when you see that many signs given, and you've gone through all the litany of signs, but Santana just wants a different location. That usually means fastball.
This will be his 37th pitch of the inning. Stroke foul, and it's 2-2 to Guzman. Well, the strikeout has been the weapon of choice for Santana tonight. He has already struck out 8 with 2 out of the 4th inning. Low, 3-2. So now the merry-go-round will be in motion. Nick Johnson on deck. Three runners will be on the move. Too high, and he forces in the tying run. 4 walks in the inning for Johan Santana. He passes Guzman to force in Willingham, and the game is tied at 3. And that changeup wasn't even close.
Well, the 2-2 changeup he threw in the dirt, tried to make the adjustment. That one too high. Up and out of the strike zone. Still in a tough spot here with Nick Johnson up.
So 3 runs are home for the Nats. Santana had walked 14 hitters in his first 9 starts. He's walked 4 in 1 inning. Johnson 1 for 2, and he takes a knee-high strike. It's the first time since July of last year that Santana has allowed more than 2 runs in a home start. He had equaled the longest streak since 1900, but it will not continue. Popped up. Should end the inning as Pagan comes in under. The inning comes to an end, but 9 men came to bat for Washington. They scored 3 times to even the game against Santana, who walked 4 in the inning and gave up the longest home run in the short history of Citi Field, as Adam Dunn crushed one to the bridge. And now the Mets and Nats are tied at 3. On a 2-run homer by Dunn and a bases loaded walk by Santana, who walked 4 in that inning. Fernando Martinez will lead off the bottom of the 4th for New York. Fernando grounded out his first time up, looking for his first big league hit. For more on the 20-year-old rookie, let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt.
Guys, Fernando Martinez is a guy that Nationals third base coach Pat Listach knows all too well, because in 2006, 2 years ago, he was his coach in the Arizona Fall League. A little dribbler, and he almost beats it out, but to no avail. Fernando can't beat that out by about a half step. There's one away. Well, Listach was his manager in 06, guys. He had just turned 18, the youngest player ever in Arizona fall ball. And you look at what he did his numbers-wise. He got off to a 1-for-18 start. He finished, though, at 253. He did have 5 doubles, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs in that league. And Listach was really impressed. He said, you know, back at the time, first of all, he was playing against much older players, guys who were 4 or 5 years old, and he really held his own. He said in games in BP, no one got a fastball by him. I mean, no one. He said, and it was impressive. He even went the other way quite a bit. He played on a team with Hunter Pence, Kevin Slowey of the Twins. Pelfrey was on that team as well. And a couple things that Listach said. So first of all, he always had a smile on his face. Always really enjoyed the game. Very coachable. But he said, you know what? He was young, and he learned. And, guys, I know you'll love this because he always talked about it. He said, I'll give you an example. There's one day we're playing. He went to catch a ball, didn't have his sunglasses down, lost the ball in the sun. He never did that again. And I can guarantee you, if you see him doing it here, I'll ask him the question if he remembered the Arizona Fall League. That's for sure.
Well, Martinez fouls it off. Well, you hear nothing but positive things about Fernando from anybody who's watched him play. The thing that you hear the most is he hasn't played very much.
Yeah, the inexperience factor.
You know, he's 20 years old, combined with the fact that he's been hurt every year. He's never played more than 90 games in a professional season.
I think if you've watched him the last 2 days, to me anyways, he looks like he can't wait to swing. You know, he really wants to put the ball in play really quickly, and that's just so natural for the first couple of games.
Ramon Martinez dribbles one out in front of the plate, and Nieves throws him out, 2 away.
You know, Ronnie, it's interesting because I said Pelfrey was on that team. Compare the two. What do you think is harder? Is it harder being a Mike Pelfrey and coming up and learning how to face big league hitters? Or is it harder being a Fernando Martinez coming up and learning how to face big league pitching?
That's It's a good question, Kevin. I think that for both, came up here inexperienced. I will say I think it's much tougher to be an everyday player. Play every day out in the outfield, facing all pitchers you don't know. The advantage is always with a pitcher when he comes up and he doesn't have any experience and no one has any experience against them. I think it's much different for an everyday player. And that's why, you know, for an everyday player, when they come up and they're considered a great prospect, that there's great buzz in the air to watch players play.
You can get that some with young pitchers, but the advantage of being a pitcher, you got the ball in your hand. You can make things happen by yourself. Santana goes down on 3 pitches, 7 strikeouts for Jordan Zimmerman. He's been an impressive rookie. We go to the 5th. Santana back to the mound. And in that inning, walked 4 of them, gave up a monstrous home run to Adam Dunn, walked him in with the bases loaded. Now he'll start off the 5th the same way he started off the 4th, facing Ryan Zimmerman, and Jerry Manuel and Dan Warthen will keep a close eye on Santana. They had the bullpen up in the last inning. Nobody up right now, but exercise is ensuing. There's always something going on down there.
That's right.
I mean, even last night when Livan Hernandez went the distance, you had guys pantomiming pitches out there. Ryan Zimmerman pops the first pitch up, shallow right. Fernando Martinez on the run, and he gets to the jutting stands just as the ball does and can't make a play.
Well, that's the inexperience at this ballpark, Fernando. What he's going to have to learn probably is that thing that all the outfielders are tending to do here. Go into the slide and try to catch it while you're going into the wall. Standing straight up becomes quite a strange proposition for these outfielders. They're going to topple right over onto the cement.
It looked like he looked down late to see where the wall was, and at that point lost the ball.
I agree.
You'd want him, wouldn't you, to, as you look at what happened the first game here when Castillo flipped over that sidewall.
They're going to just have to learn. You're going to go into like a pop-up slide and get close to that wall. That way your spikes can keep you from banging into that wall and then try to make the catch.
But also, Ronnie, if you're approaching any wall, any barrier, you got to look earlier, right?
You do. It's just so hard. 20 years old, second start here. And I'm sure that you can take as many fly balls as you want before the game, but no coach is going to hit you fly balls up against that wall so you can work on that. That's just, you got to get that with experience.
0-2 to Zimmerman, who's walked twice tonight. And he takes it low.
We've seen Murphy make a catch down the left field line like that. The sliding kind of play.
Changeup got him. 9 strikeouts for Santana as he gets Zimmerman 1 out of the 5th.
What an interesting game here. 3 runs given up in that 4th inning. 5 walks. Struggled last inning. Still has 9 punch-outs.
So now done. And the folks back on the bridge are taking notice. This time you got to pay attention. You can't just be eating your blue smoke ribs, blowing away 1-0, because this is what happened in the 4th.
That's a big man hit it there.
He hits another one to deep right center. Martinez back near the wall, and he made the catch. Well, Fernando Martinez couldn't make the play coming in, but he looks great going back and catches it against the fence.
Well done, believe it or not. Just got that off the end of the bat, and that is a very difficult catch. It juts out there to 378. He got all the way back there and no fear made that play for Santana. Applause all around.
Looked like he knew exactly where the wall was. He leaned into the mesh there to make the play for the second out.
You know, that's the one thing you can know as a right fielder. That mesh fence has a lot more give than the padding. So you can really almost be more aggressive at that point in the ballpark.
You can push it back far enough. You can catch a 379-foot fly ball at the 378 mark.
That's right.
1-1 to Willingham, who singled and scored a run in that 4th inning.
You know, Johan is so more evolved than I would ever make this comment, but I do know that I've done this myself. I'm certainly not even close to his level, ever. But sometimes when your team makes 11 errors, sometimes when you have 7 unearned runs, you start to get into strikeout mode and saying, you know what, I'm not letting anyone touch the ball. I'm doing it myself. Bad place to be.
9 of his 14 outs have come via the strikeout tonight. Check swing. Did he go? He went around strike 3. Number 10 for Santana. 4th time this year in double digits and the 47th time in his career. Still tied at 3.
Hit a grand slam home run, I think on an 0-2 pitch and took forever to run around the bases, and then had the curtain call. So Niedenfuhrer was seething out there. First pitch, he hits Ray Knight. Ray Knight comes out, and after the fight was done, I remember getting up from the bottom of the pile, and Tom Niedenfuhrer saying, screaming at the top of his lungs, "I'm not taking it anymore. I am not taking it anymore." And funny thing about that fight, no one got thrown out.
What was he exactly referring to?
Well, I think he was not going to take it anymore of the Mets players showing him up by taking the bows and, you know, the curtain calls and taking forever to get around the bases and all those things.
That was before Ozzie Smith, right?
Before.
Popped a foul off the left side, out of play. Well, Santana's not a happy camper tonight. He has struck out 10 in 5 innings, but he's thrown 102 pitches, and I wonder whether Dan has told him he's pulling the plug or not.
He's trying to sell him on that, but it's not really working. I think that left ear of Santana has now officially been turned off.
It's a very good way of putting it. The Mets bullpen is quiet. So it looks like Santana plans to go back out there for the 6th inning. Meanwhile, the Mets will set about trying to untie this game. Pagan is 1 for 2. He fouls one back.
Now with the off day tomorrow, if everyone takes their turn, then Santana would get an extra day.
That means he'll pitch next in Pittsburgh on Tuesday. Luis Castillo on deck, and then David Wright here in the 5th against Jordan Zimmerman, who has struck out 7. Little tapper. Zimmerman with a toss. 1 away. Take the train to Citi Field as the 3-game weekend series with the Marlins begins Friday night at 7:10. Mass transit is the faster, easier, and greener way to Citi Field. Get to the Mets' new home of amazing. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. Santana making his point to Ramon Castro. Castillo takes high ball 1.
You know, very few catchers have enough equity built up to be able to turn around to the umpire when your pitcher is not getting pitches and say, hey, listen, this guy's the best pitcher on the planet. He's got to have these pitches. They're right where they're supposed to be. Because most catchers know that if they do that, that kind of ruins their offensive night for the rest of the time. The umpire will open the strike zone against them.
3-0 to Castillo.
If they find it confrontational, you know what I'm saying?
Well, there's got to be a way to do that without it being confrontational, doesn't there?
There is a way to do it with some of your other pitchers.
Ball 4 to Castillo. And the Mets have a 1-out base runner. First walk of the night for Zimmerman.
But your ace would want it to be confrontational. You want the message to be sent. The message that he can't send, he needs the catcher to send it.
So you're saying less George Mitchell, more Rampomaggi.
There you go. Yes.
Here's David Wright. Wright singled and scored in the first, took a call third strike in the third, 1 for 2. Tie-breaking run at first. Castillo, who can steal a base, and Wright takes low ball 1. The catcher, Will Nieves, has thrown out only 1 out of 15 attempted base stealers this year. Good slider for a strike. 1-1 to Wright. Castillo was in motion on a 3-2 pitch when David singled to left in the first, and Castillo alertly went first to third. Cut at the fastball, 1-2. Gary Sheffield, who drove in the first 2 Met runs with a long double waiting on deck. There goes Castillo, the pitch high. Nieves' throw is in time, and he got him. Nieves throws out a base stealer for only the 2nd time this year. 2-4 on the caught stealing, 2 out.
Well, that high fastball makes it easier for Nieves. Never had to get out of his crouch. Already out of it. Perfect strike. Nice try by Louis to take that left hand away and try to go over the tag, but still, Belliard stayed with him.
Now 2-2 to right with 2 out and nobody on, and it's up and in to David, 3-2. He struck him out for the second time. Wright's now at 6 at bats against Zimmerman and struck out 5 of the 6. That's 8 strikeouts for Zimmerman, matching the high in his short career. We go to the 6th, still tied up. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by KGB, by Firestone, and by Toyota. 6th inning on what has been an odd night for Johan Santana. 10 strikeouts through the first 5 innings. But he's already thrown 102 pitches. He's walked 5, given up 3 runs and 3 hits. Ronnie Belliard hit one of the warning track and left his last time up, and he takes a strike. Belliard getting his first start of the series after Anderson Hernandez had started the first 2 games. It's been a rough go for Belliard, just 1 hit in his last 18 at bats. He's had a reputation as something of a Met killer. Was part of that Cardinal team in 06 that beat the Mets in the LCS. 0-2, up and away, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Justin Maxwell on deck, and then Will Nieves as Santana faces 6, 7, and 8 in the order in the 6th inning.
Who's that phrase? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. For singles hitters or doubles hitters like Belliard, it can really hurt them because he's got enough pop to hit a home run, but he has a big swing like he's a home run hitter, and he should be more of a line drive hitter.
Marcus Giles.
There you go.
I mean, Marcus was a guy who had a couple of really good years, but flamed out very quickly.
How about this Giles name for you? Brian Giles, who played second base for the Mets late 70s, early 80s. He was a guy that always wanted to hit a home run.
The original Brian Giles.
So there you go.
3-2. And he walked him. 6 walks for Johan Santana. Just 1 shy of his career high. It's a leadoff walk to boot, and Jerry Manuel's got to start thinking seriously about at what point he's going to pull his ace. As Sean Green gets up in the bullpen. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. The young player homering for the 2nd straight day for the Orioles, who, by the way, are going to call up their #1 prospect, Matt Wieters, on Friday for the weekend.
He's the catcher, of course.
Now Justin Maxwell is up after a consultation with Pat Listach, the third base coach. We'll see if he's called upon to bunt here with the go-ahead run at second and nobody out. Go-ahead run at first and nobody out. Maxwell has taken a call third strike and walk tonight, 0 for 1. Well, after Livan Hernandez threw 127 pitches last night, Santana up to 108 working in the 6th inning. And Maxwell up there to swing, and he takes a strike. Maxwell, who missed most of last year with a fractured wrist after winning the Nationals Minor League Player of the Year honors 2 years ago. He can run. We've seen that. And he takes a fastball for a strike, and Santana ahead 0-2.
See when he had the talk with Dan Warthen, just mentioning to Santana's arm, just pointed at his arm a little bit, probably telling him, hey, listen, we need you all season long.
Change up, can't get him to bite.
I think Santana, though, has veto power at some point.
Only to a certain extent. We saw last year he was taken out of some games a lot earlier than he would have liked. But then down the stretch last season, he fought to be able to finish. Can't do that all the time, not this early in the year.
I agree.
And again, we've talked about it before. Santana's so much better on the extra day of rest, which he does not have this time after his highest pitch count of the year in his last start at Boston. 1-2, foul back. When Santana walked 4 batters in the 4th inning, it matched the most he's ever walked in a single inning. So a very unusual night for Santana on a number of fronts. One and 2 to Maxwell. He struck him out. That's 11 strikeouts for Santana. Second time he's gotten Maxwell.
This ball out of the strike zone. Maxwell took a couple pitches really good to hit early in the count, and then got fooled by this fastball up.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now the number 8 hitter, Will Nieves. Nieves is grounded to short and struck out. And he lifts one to right center, tailing away from Pagan, but he gets over in the gap and runs it down. And Belliard back to first.
Well, for you Mets fans, you get to see the best every night, but not in there. Nice job by Pagan closing that distance, making a fine catch.
So 2 out. Jordan Zimmerman will stay into bat. Zimmerman's thrown 86 pitches through 5 innings. And the Nats right now want him out there rather than anybody they might bring in from their bullpen. So he'll bat here with the lead run at first and 2 out. Zimmerman has struck out and walked tonight. Still looking for that first big league hit. His rotation buddy Craig Stammen picked up his first big league hit last night in strange fashion, a hit that caused Josh Bard to be thrown out at the plate. And he did, I am told, get the baseball after Santos had made that tag.
Well, he had the first chance at it. Probably was thrown out to the mound, maybe.
Santana behind the opposing pitcher, 2-0. And he takes a strike. By the way, in case you were wondering, Jordan Zimmerman is not related to Ryan Zimmerman. In fact, they spell their last name differently. Jordan has 2 N's at the end. No, Zimmerman, not Jordan. You know what I meant. Here's the 2-1. Fisted over first, a foul ball. Almost had his first hit. 2-2. Christian Guzman on deck. His walk with the bases loaded tied up the game against Santana in the 4th. Well, Santana's thrown 118, so this is going to be his high pitch count game for the season with his next pitch. Maybe his last. 2-2. Fouled away, not his last. Well, in an era of 100 pitch counts, the Mets will have their starter throw 120 or more 2 straight nights. Lifted to right center and hit well. Pagan going back, has it lined up, and he's got it. Santana's night has come to an end. He throws up a 0 in the top of the 6th, and now the Mets will try and get him a lead in the bottom with Sheffield leading off. Domingo on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, weekdays at 5 p.m. right here on SNY. Now Johan Santana, an odd night at work.
Well, that's why you saw the little half-hearted hug there. I mean, not many times you walk off a mound, have 11 punch-outs, and you don't feel good about it.
Well, 6 walks, just 1 shy of his career high. And they got all 11 pasted up there with his bobblehead. Gary Sheffield leads off in the home 6th inning against Jordan Zimmerman, who's allowed 6 hits tonight. And Sheffield has the biggest one for New York, a 2-run double back in the 1st inning. Hit into a force play in the 3rd. Gary's now hit in 6 straight games. 8 for 17 with 3 home runs in those 6 games. Daniel Murphy on deck, and then Ramon Castro here in the home 6th. And now Zimmerman behind on Sheffield 3-0. Zimmerman has walked only 1. That was Castillo in the last inning. Zimmerman, who just turned 23 years old, deals 3-0 and misses badly for ball 4. And so the Mets have the leadoff man on for only the 2nd time tonight. Here's your Aflac trivia question for tonight. Major League record for most consecutive seasons with at least 1 home run. Somebody who played a long time. Kip Wells, who's pitched in each of the first 2 games of this series, gets up again for the Nats tonight. Here's Daniel Murphy, who drove in the 3rd Met run with a base hit his last time up. Murph's first RBI since May the 15th. Johnson playing in front of the bag against Sheffield. Just inside, 1-1 to Murphy. Most consecutive seasons with at least one home run as Ron Malone gets up in the bullpen. That's got to be someone like Aaron or Mays or
someone who played 25 seasons.
Yeah, played forever. 1-1. And there's a strike. 1-2. Jim Cott played 25 years. I don't think it was him.
How about Pete Rose? He was always good for 1 or 2 at the end.
Castro waiting on deck. And Murphy fouls it away. On the Nationals, with Scott Olson on the disabled list and Daniel Cabrera now gone, have the youngest starting rotation in the National League, with 5 guys 25 years of age or under. 4 of the 5 are rookies. John Lannon, a second-year player. Bobby Parnell getting up in the bullpen, getting ready to pitch the 7th inning. 1-2 to Murphy. Hit in the air to right field. Hit well. Back goes Dunn. Back to the track. Looking up. And it's out of here. Did they say that was in play? I thought that it hit the overhang. Sheffield to the plate is tagged out. I might have seen that wrong, but I thought that ball hit the overhang and came down. If it did, it's a home run.
Well, Jerry's going to go ask right now. First time that the Pepsi porch comes into play.
Let's look at the replay. That way that ball came down, I think Dunn thought it was a home run.
I think the problem is that Dunn made the bad play. Dunn gave up on it, thought it was a home run.
Well, it's going to go as a double for now out at the plate, 9-4-2. But the umpires are going to convene here. And again, we get a situation where it's hard to tell from the replay. Just the way the ball came down, I thought for sure it had hit off the subway sign in the overhang of the Pepsi porch. But now I'm not quite so sure. What do you think, Ronnie?
Well, I thought that Dunn gave up on it, so I think it was just a fly ball that landed out there. And the reason I'm saying that, because not one fan is pointing to the sign and saying that it hit the subway sign, and I think that gives a good indication that it was a fly ball that dropped in.
Well, it looks like we're going to get another video review.
Mets are leading the world.
Well, they've had every one go in their favor so far. Going back to Saturday night in Boston, where Santos's ball first ruled in play was called a home run. Then Sunday, Youkilis's ball called foul, confirmed foul on replay. Here on Monday, the Sheffield home run confirmed via replay. And I think you're right, Ronnie. Looking at the replay, it doesn't look as though it hit that sign.
And it's also, you don't have one fan reaching out to try to catch the baseball. If it went off that sign, you'd see half a dozen people trying to catch a home run. But they just saw it as short.
Here's a different angle.
There you go.
See, there it looks as though it hit.
Yeah, that's what we saw from back here.
Yeah, that's the way it looked. And that's maybe the definitive call, because look at the angle it's coming down. And then all of a sudden it seems to change direction and go straight down. I mean, I don't know if that's definitive enough for them to change their call, but just Dunn's reaction makes you think, you know, he thought that ball was going out, and then all of a sudden it just plummeted straight down to earth.
Very funny how these video rulings are going. Everyone that's sitting below us is looking for us to make the call. So, of course, I called it no home run to see their reaction, and they went crazy.
Sam Holbrook staying around while the other 3 umpires take a look.
Again, guys, we've gotten to the point where it's been called in play.
Right.
So you're going to have something irrefutable, clear and convincing that shows the umpires that the things we just looked at are going to tell them that that ball glanced off the subway sign and is a home run. I don't think that's going to happen. Could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Part of the problem that you have here for the umpires is anytime you get a light-colored sign, either white or a light color, it's very hard to see the baseball hit. And that subway sign is mostly yellow with a little bit of white where that ball hit. And And that's a problem because you don't have the contrast of the ball against a dark sign where you can definitely see it hit. So
the other thing
and
you
see, as Sandy Alomar saying, it plummeted straight down. Let's look at that angle again, full speed. You know, it's hard to definitively tell again.
And again, Jerry's standing there all by himself. I think with all the video they have back there, Hojo just came up and took a look at it, and he's shaking his head like, I'm not sure, I don't know. If they knew for sure, you'd have every Met player on the bench right now telling Jerry that it definitely went off the sign.
Well, give the Nats credit. They continued to play it out. Sheffield tried to score from first on the play and was thrown out of the plate as Murphy continued on to third. So for the moment, it has been ruled a double. Sheffield out at the plate 9-4-2. Murphy going to third on the throw. And so if it stands up that way, the Mets will have the go-ahead run at third with one out.
By the way, that's, in retrospect, a killer, because to have second and third and no out is a whole different experience.
Well, can the Mets go 4 for 4 this year on video replays? The last one here on Monday night took about 6 minutes, the longest one we've seen so far. And again, what happens is the umpires go into the video room, which is down the tunnel just past the third base dugout, and back from the war room in Manhattan, they transmit all these signals, all the replays that we've shown and that the Nationals broadcast might show. And from that, the 3 umpires who've gone down the tunnel will try and figure out whether there is enough evidence to overturn the call. If not, even if they think it might be, they have to have enough to overturn the original call.
And again, like Sheffield's home run, the left field line camera, if you had one, would help. A right field camera would help also.
Here come the umpires onto the field, and it's a home run! They've overturned it. It's a 2-run homer for Daniel Murphy, and the Mets win yet another video review. And they take a 5-3 lead on Murphy's 4th home run of the year. Well, I have to be honest, Ronnie, I didn't think they were going to get that call, but the Mets are red hot on the replay.
But you know, they might have had a different view than we had here. I mean, I don't see it as clear and convincing. If you do at home, then you have better eyes than I do.
Here's your Coors Light freeze cam, and you can see the ball as it goes by that bottom of the sign. I think, anyway, it changes angles coming down, and maybe that was enough. In any event, a big home run for Murphy gives the Mets a 2-run lead. Here's Ramon Castro, and he swings and misses, nothing in 1.
Boy, unbelievable. It's almost comical to see. You've had Sheffield thrown at the plate. Now he scores.
Unbelievable. I mean, remember when Santos hit the home run in Boston, Sheffield was involved in that contact with the third base coach, Razor Shines, that became a moot point.
Well, now everyone knows what happened in retrospect. But I do have to say, and you have to notice at home, the umpires would not have called that a home run unless they had clear and convincing evidence, and certainly they did.
1-2 to Castro off the corner, 2-2. Well, it's been a remarkable run over the last week for this team. I mean, that's 4 video reviews in the last 5 games. Castro lifts one deep down the left field line, right toward the corner. That ball is out of here. I think. No, was it in play? No, it's a fair ball in play. Well, it disappeared from our view. I have to apologize. We lose that ball in the corner, and I thought the third base umpire was signaling home run. He was merely signaling fair balls. It fell right on the chalk.
What happened
in that left field corner?
Yeah, Gary, what happened is that Willingham overran the baseball line, laid right on the track, and a double for Mr. Castro.
And right on that chalk. Barely.
Well, the Mets are 4 for 4 in this video home run. I think I'm 2 for 4, so I'm not doing very well so far this year.
Well, that's going to be all for Jordan Zimmerman. Citi Field's an interesting place, isn't it? The Pepsi porch produces a home run on review. Castro follows with a double, and the Nats go to the bullpen. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. 39-year-old Ron Vallone, who was in spring training with the Mets, has been a godsend lately for the Nats.
He pitched pretty well with the Mets in spring training. No place for him on the team, but has pitched excellent out of the bullpen.
Comes in to face Fernando Martinez with a runner at second and nobody out. We'll see if Martinez is asked to bunt, and he's not, and he fouls it off, 0-1. Well, what an inning this has been. After Santana worked through the top of the sixth, finishing with 120 pitches, he's done, and the Mets get him 2 runs, a walk to Gary Sheffield, and then Daniel Murphy hitting one off the subway sign at the front of the Pepsi porch. Initially ruled in play, overturned on video review. Castro follows with a double that landed barely fair in the left field corner, and Zimmerman's out of the game. And Santana has a chance for a win. Martinez takes up an end 1-1.
Nice confidence shown by Jerry Manuel here. Interesting to let the young 20-year-old swing away here with no outs. Maybe because of the speed of Castro. The bunt has to be so perfect to get him to third base.
And you got your 8 and 9 hitters coming up, although you're going to pinch hit for Santana in that 9 hole. One and 1 to Fernando, and he lays off the slider. Good take, and it's 2-1. 20-year-old Fernando Martinez facing 39-year-old Ron Vallone. Ramon Martinez waits on deck. Vallone from Bergenfield, New Jersey. Terrific tight end at the University of Massachusetts, and he's had a long career, starting with San Diego back in '95. Fernando was set inside 3-1.
Let's see if the young man gets a fastball to hit here.
A little more patient at that.
Yes, much better.
Fernando 0 for 5 to start his big league career. Pops it up. The catcher, Nieves, drops the ball. But Fernando Martinez didn't run, and he's out at first base. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Quick lesson learned in the second game of the major leagues. He didn't run out the pop-up, and he gets embarrassed.
I think he lost it, and once he lost it, then it's just, there's nothing to say against that right there. That ball hits Nieves, didn't even touch any leather.
Well, there was confusion on the part of the Nats because Ryan Zimmerman came in and then slammed on the brakes. I think that Nieves thought he was going to get help from Zimmerman, and then at the last moment he had to take charge. But for Fernando Martinez, you know, Kevin was saying earlier that when he made a mistake, he didn't repeat it. Well, let's trust that that's never going to happen again. That's the first out of the inning. There's Ramon Martinez, who's 0 for 2. And he takes ball 1. Three RBI night for Daniel Murphy, including his video reviewed 2-run homer here in the 6th. Is it a full moon?
Something blue in here. There you go.
It's a full light. 2-0 with Tatis on deck to pinch hit. And Ramon Martinez takes high and away ball 3. There's Tatis, who played first base last night and probably will start there Friday night with the Marlins throwing a left-hander. And he walked him. So Ramon Martinez is aboard, and now Tatis will come up to pinch hit with 2 men on. Let's check in with Kevin.
Well, guys, obviously our video shots of that Murphy ball were very hard to see, especially in the sign with all the white in the sign. So I came out here and did the next best thing. I asked about 10 people in this row. I think the Mets got a gift. Not one of them said that it hit the subway sign. They said it all was coming here, but then kind of ducked under the subway sign. So I think it was the wrong call, but it worked out for the Mets.
Now that's fascinating. We're assuming that the umpire saw something that made it clear and convincing that it had hit the subway sign, but I guess the fans are not concurring.
And they're Met fans, so they want to say it went off the subway
Sure.
sign. That's their first inclination.
Manny Acta will make another pitching change as Valone exits. And Kip Wells will come in the game for the 3rd straight night. Mets have taken a 5-3 lead. Presented by Gatorade. For tickets, call 718-803-4074. Should be a great night in Greenwich tomorrow night. The veteran Kip Wells comes in for the 3rd straight night.
Well, he has really improved that ERA the last couple of nights. He's looked awfully sharp with all 3 of his pitches: breaking ball, fastball, and changeup. Let's see how he does with people on base.
Fernando Tatis coming up to pinch hit. Tatis went 1 for 3 and drove in a run last night. Castro at second, Ramon Martinez at first. 2 runs are home for the Mets here in the bottom of the 6th on Daniel Murphy's now even more controversial 2-run homer, thanks to the investigative reporting of Kevin Burkhardt. And Tatis takes a strike, 0-1. I mean, the point of the video review rule that when it was instituted last year is to get the call right. And if they didn't get the call right, then that's not the way it's supposed to work.
Exactly. Well, it'd be interesting. They don't usually allow the umpires to have a comment after the game, do they?
Well, they wouldn't comment the other night after Sheffield's home run. That doesn't mean they can't. I think it depends on the individual umpiring crew.
Yeah.
And this, of course, is the same
crew. I don't think they're going to allow them to comment because they just don't want to go there.
What I'd be interested in finding out, though, is whether they saw any other more definitive shot than the ones that we saw.
I agree.
Because they have 2 different broadcasts they can draw from. 1-1 to Tatis, and he takes low and away, 2-1.
Santana at the beginning of the season getting no support, and now he's getting support even when he's not in the game anymore.
Well, the Mets scored a total of 15 runs in Santana's first 7 starts. His last 3 starts, so far they've scored 19 runs. So that worm has turned. And they didn't make an error behind him tonight either. 2-1 to Tatis, and it's outside ball 3. So Wells falls behind his first batter with Angel Pagan on deck. Still only 1 out in the inning. Boy, this inning's gone on a long time. With the video review and everything else, it feels like 20 minutes ago.
It does.
2 pitching changes since then. Three and 1 to Tatis. He pounds one foul. 3-2. Randy St. Clair on the phone again. So far this season, that has not been a productive phone for Mr. St. Clair.
I have a question for you. I don't even think you know the answer. Can a video review be worthy of a protest from the opposing manager?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I know that once the video review is made and the umps make the call, the opposing manager is not even allowed to talk to the umpires about it. That's what confused us the other day in Boston. Remember when Terry Francona came out after the video review? Line to short, and it's a double play as Castro is doubled off. Hit hard by Tatis, a 6-4 line drive double play. But the Mets have taken the lead in the 6th inning on a controversial 2-run homer by Daniel Murphy. Ruled first a double, then a home.
Speaking, it looked like to me that he said, hey, I know I can't catch it, as he talked to his teammate Austin Kearns here. He was saying that I couldn't catch it, so that's why I turned around and I was going to play it off the Modell sign if it came off the Modell sign, although he should have been further out. And it fooled him because that's when it kind of dropped into play. And that's why he looked so startled when he went back on the ball. See? Saying I'm going to play it off the wall, but it never did hit the wall. Very interesting here at, well, I wanted to say it, Citi Field.
Christian Guzman leads off in the 7th against Bobby Parnell.
Bobby Parnell coming off an appearance where he walked batters. First time we've seen him not throw strikes. Trying to rebound here tonight.
Guzman reaches out and fouls it off 1-2. Guzman walked with the bases loaded in the 4th inning against Santana to tie up the game, and it stayed tied until Murphy's 2-run homer in the bottom of the 6th. Santana threw 120 pitches tonight in 6 innings as Parnell with the slider gets Guzman for the first out. One away.
Well, when all these hitters go over the charts, they say fastball, slider, pitcher. Then you go back, you go, I didn't know he had a slider like that. Good pitch by Parnell.
So Guzman retired, one away, and Nick Johnson coming up. Johnson had an infield hit back in the first, since then has struck out and flied out. Santana struck out 11 and walked 6 in 6 innings. A very unusual night for Santana.
Interesting pitch by Parnell. First pitch changeup from Bobby.
Working on a new wrinkle. Now the fastball misses, and it's 2-0. Pedro Feliciano, J.J. Putz getting up in the bullpen. Now the Mets have the lead for Santana. They're going to do everything they can to keep it from getting away. And Johnson takes a strike, 2-1. Ryan Zimmerman waits on deck. And Johnson cracks one up the middle, a base hit. And so that'll get the tying run to the plate for the Nats here in the 7th. Second hit of the night for Nick Johnson. So now Zimmerman, who has walked twice and struck out tonight, 0 for 1.
Parnell's going to try to induce a double play here from Zimmerman. If he doesn't, I'm sure Feliciano is going to have to face the dangerous Dunn.
2 nights ago when Parnell faced Zimmerman, he walked him with the bases loaded to force in a run. Now 1 out and 1 out on the 7th, and Zimmerman chases the slider, 0-1. Adam Dunn, who has had a very interesting night waiting on deck, hit a home run that must have traveled close to 500 feet. Hit another ball to the fence that Fernando Martinez caught with his back up against the wall, and then bore witness to the home run. That is the difference in this game. Parnell mixing it up, gets ahead 0-2.
Good slider, 2 in a row to Zimmerman. Ball starts right at the middle of the plate, breaks off the plate away.
In his outing in Boston over the weekend, he threw nothing but fastballs and at one point clocked 100 on the gun. And that might have had an effect on him when he came back here on Monday night.
A little overthrowing, right?
To Zimmerman, and the slider misses 1-2.
Well, it's interesting when you have a pitcher come in for the bullpen, and he's mostly a fastball pitcher, and using that many sliders. That's his 4th, I believe. That really tells you that maybe when he came in and was standing there getting the ball from Jerry Manuel, let Castro know, hey, listen, I had a good slider in the bullpen. Let's use it.
He throws another one, and he strikes out Zimmerman for the 2nd out. So 2 strikeouts in the inning for Parnell, and he threw all breaking balls to Zimmerman.
Well, you got to be ready for that fastball. Zimmerman, 95 miles an hour. He knows it.
And now with the left-hand hitter Dunn coming up, Jerry Manuel is going to make the call to the bullpen and bring in Feliciano to try and get the big guy out. So Parnell with a couple of strikeouts. Met pitchers have fanned 13 tonight. But it's Feliciano who will face Dunn, tying a run at the plate in the 7th inning with the Mets up 5-3. to keep the Mets up 5-3.
If the Murphy ball hit the subway sign. Not one of them said it did. They all said that it missed. So I came down here to the lower section underneath that sign, and without hesitation, all of them said it hit the sign. So everybody above it says it didn't hit. Everybody below it said that it did indeed hit. Now, what they said, they noticed that the ball did definitely change trajectory. No one, however, heard a sound. And I think you would, even though the crowd got loud. I mean, this is a metal piece. I would think you would hear some kind of a bang, but maybe I'm wrong. Bottom line is, guys, as inconclusive as the replay was, now the fans are just as inconclusive. The people on top say no home run. People on bottom, all of them say it definitely did. So I really don't know what to think now.
Well, first a video review, and now an upstairs-downstairs debate.
Anybody sitting in the Pepsi sign? I mean, the subway sign that could help us? In the middle?
Well, you know, let's remember that sign hangs 8 feet over the field of play and was designed just for this kind of a situation. I don't think it was designed to provoke controversy the first time it came into play, but it's an unusually configured outfield in a lot of different ways, and we've seen a couple of ways already on this homestand come into play.
Great job, KB.
Tapper by Pagan. In comes Guzman. He'll have to hurry against Pagan's speed. He can't get it. Infield hit for Angel Pagan, his second hit of the night.
We can't do any more than Guzman does here. Flat out athletic ability beat him there with that base hit. You know, the only thing that we've done now is we're going to lose Kevin to 60 minutes now within the next year. That's the only problem we have.
So now Castillo, and perhaps this time Belliard will be ready for the bunt. This is Colomé up in the bullpen. Remember, Castillo laid down a bunt in the third inning, and Belliard forgot to cover first base, and Castillo got a bunt single out of it. Louis been on base 3 straight times tonight. Single to left, had the bunt hit, and then walked. He scored a run tonight. Has his batting average up to 295. Skip Wells misses high, ball 1. David Wright waiting on deck. Starter for the Nats tonight, Jordan Zimmerman, struck out 8 in 5 innings plus, but was charged with 5 runs and 8 hits. Game was tied at 3 when Murphy either did or did not hit it off the subway sign for a 2-run homer. It's a 2-run homer either way. That's the bottom line, because That's what the umpires decided after video review, after with the naked eye calling the ball in play. And remember, had it been in play, not only would it not have been a home run, it would have been an out because Sheffield was thrown out of the plate. And Murphy's going down to watch it again.
I think I have the lead, Gary, for tomorrow's papers.
You think? Castillo takes a strike, 2-1.
Zimmerman is being so aggressive, coming in from third base, playing up tight, and also right in Louis Castillo's grill when he's about to bunt.
Now Castillo loves to slap it that way if Zimmerman gets too close.
So Johnson's got to hold Pagan off. He's got to respect that speed. What you'd like Louis to do if he could here is try to bunt this ball to first base, but I think his stronger side is bunting towards Zimmerman. Two and
1 the count. And Castillo set to swing, and the pitch outside, and Nieves coming out of his crouch, figuring if he wasn't bunting that Pagan might be running.
Ball off the plate. Pagan's not running. Castillo with a good eye.
So now it's 3-1 to Louis. And a good spot for Pagan to run. He's stolen 4 bases in his brief time with the Mets this year. Not going. And it's ball 4, and the Mets have 2 men on. So Castillo's on base for the 4th straight time.
The actors already signaled to the bullpen disgustedly.
Well, Wells got lucky, got a couple of outs on a line drive double play in the 6th inning. But an infield hit and a walk to a guy who was trying to give him an out will get him out of there here in the 7th inning. Mets with a 5-3 lead and looking for more as the Nats make another pitching change at Citi Field. Consecutive seasons with at least 1 home run. Which longtime big leaguer was it? Ricky.
Oh, that makes sense. 25 seasons for Ricky.
Ricky's answered every question today.
Well, me and the security guard downstairs, Dominic, we always have a game that he'll give me one that's a stumper, and I'll give him one. And today, the one I gave him, who is the only person in the club, 3,000 hits or more, that played in more games than hits. And it was Ricky Henderson.
Because he drew so many walks.
That's right.
Well, the Mets have the first 2 men on in the 7th. Pagan and Castillo, and now David Wright with an opportunity against the veteran right-hander Jesus Colomé. Colomé worked in the opening game of the series on Monday night and threw a scoreless inning. David is 1 for 3 tonight, singled and scored back in the 1st, then struck out his last 2 at bats against Jordan Zimmerman. Now going up against the beleaguered Nationals bullpen. Bullpen with the worst ERA and the most blown saves of any team in the majors. A prime reason why the Nats are 13-32.
Well, usually a manager will take out pitchers because it's a tactical reason. Manny Acta walked out there like he took Kip Wells out because he didn't want to see anymore.
Well, that's, unfortunately for the Nats, a frequent emotion these days. One that was even expressed last night publicly. As David Wright foul tips 1-0 and won. The Nationals after the game last night designated Daniel Cabrera for assignment, and Mike Rizzo, the acting general manager, said, quote, "I was tired of watching him." That's a pretty harsh thing for a GM to say.
Ouch.
I think most Nats fans shared his impression. Galliard went to cover, but no throw. Colomé has inherited 4 runners since rejoining the Nats this year, and all of them have scored. He inherits 2 here with nobody out. And he's got to face right to Sheffield, and a balk is called. A balk called against Colomé, and the Mets advance their runners to second and third. Dan Iasonia, the third base umpire, called the balk. And Colomé not quite sure what he did. Flinch, maybe?
Well, he can't see the sign, so he kept leaning in and flinched just enough. That was a little picayune by the umpires, but he did flinch just a little bit, trying to see the signs from the evidence.
So the Nats now have to bring the infield in with second and third and nobody out, already down 5-3. And 1 the count to right, and David takes a fastball for a strike. 0-2. David has 1 hit and 5 career at bats against Colomé. Outside 1-2. Manny Acta watched his team early this season. Remember when Florida got off to that 11-1 start? The Marlins and the Nats had a series where the Nats had the lead in the 9th inning all 3 games and lost all 3 games. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. That's how porous this bullpen has been. 1-2, taken high. And they've moved around some of the bodies. Saul Rivera, who was a huge mainstay the last couple of years and began the season with the Nats, is in the minor leagues. It was only a couple of years ago the Nats had one of the best bullpens around.
Chad Cordero was their closer, John Roush, Luis Ayala.
2-2 to right. Lifted foul. Ron Valone went 1/3 of an inning. No runs, no hits. Kip Wells went 2/3 of an inning. He's been charged with 1 hit and a walk so far. And now Colomé has come on and immediately committed a balk. Again, the 2-2. Struck him out. 3rd time Wright's been struck out tonight. Got him with high gas. That's the first out of the inning.
Well, the difference has been is that the Nationals, when they've gotten on top of David, have come after him with fastballs up in the strike zone. Most teams have tried to counter with breaking pitches late, which has played into David's favor.
Let's see if they walk Sheffield now with first base open and Murphy on deck, and they're going to do exactly that. Even though Murphy has a home run tonight and has driven in 3, the way Sheffield's been swinging the bat lately, this makes perfect sense, even with the left-hand hitter coming up.
That'll be Sheffield's 22nd walk and 89 at bats.
Well, he started the night with a .430 on base percentage, and he's now been on base 3 more times tonight after this intentional walk.
Sheffield doing something very important as a hitter. He's staying in there and he's ready to hit. Column 8 2 times now. The ball's drifting back towards the plate.
In this game, you never assume, as Fernando Martinez learned to his dismay in the last inning.
That disputed home run call is going to be the best thing that happened to Fernando tonight.
His failure to run out a pop-up that dropped will get lost in the shuffle if the Mets win the game. So Sheffield aboard, and now Murphy, who singled home a run in the third and then did this in the sixth inning.
Ball inside, lofted to right field. Lands in play, but after a review from the umpires, called a home run. I was thinking in this part of the world in Flushing, maybe they can check for some yellow paint on the ball, Gary.
Kind of like shoe polish?
There you go.
So another RBI chance for Murphy, who's already tied his career high with 3 RBIs tonight. Now it's 15 for the year. Corners in. Middle infielders back at double play depth. And Murphy takes low ball 1. Daniel sat out the last 2 nights. Pagan, Castillo, and Sheffield the base runners. Gary Manuel said he wanted to give Murphy a break. He was 4 for 43 coming into the game, but he's had a big night.
Cracks one to left field. That's deep. Willingham back to the track. It's over his head. One hop to the wall. Pagan and Castillo score. Sheffield into third. It's a 2-run double for Daniel Murphy, who has a 5 RBI night. 7-3 New York.
Well, you know when Daniel Murphy is getting closer to being where he wants to be. Not that he's hitting the ball to left field, he's driving the ball to left field. That ball short hop in the left field wall. You can see Pagan has to go back. Cases caught Castillo on second. What a great read by him. He caught it straight away. And Sheffield, of course, can go easily from first to third.
Both those runs charged to Kip Wells. Now Ramon Castro, who's 1 for 3, double to the left field corner his last time, and again the infield has to come in as Castro takes a strike with Sheffield at third and Murphy at second. So Murphy, who had not driven in a run since the 15th of May, has 5 RBIs tonight, a new career high. Single, double, home run. Castro fists one foul, and it's 0-2. Big night for Daniel Murphy, and boy, did he need that.
He did.
A.J. Cook's getting ready to pitch the bottom of the 8th after Parnell and Feliciano combine in the 7th. Excuse me, in the top of the 8th. Swing and a miss, and Castro down. Second strikeout for Coleman. 2 out in the inning.
Again, just like Wright, a fastball up. You know, Gary, getting back to Murphy, he's had a home run and a double in this game. The biggest hit maybe for him, to let him breathe, was that single to right field. The 3-hopper past Johnson.
Just got it by.
Just got the monkey off his back just for a short time. Let him relax.
So now Fernando Martinez, 0 for 3 tonight, and embarrassed somewhat his last at bat by not running out a pop-up that fell and thrown out at first base. And you can bet he's not going to do that again soon.
That is a get called into the principal's office for that. The principal being Mr. Manuel.
Second and third and 2 out. And Fernando lifts one to center field. Not very deep. On comes Maxwell to make the running grab with the slide at the end to end the inning. But Daniel Murphy continues his excellent night. After winning a home run on video review, he hits one the other way that drives home 2 more to make it 7-3 Mets. Billiard.
Boy, Mitch, that's a great question. I think that most of the onus falls on the pitcher. But I'll tell you, some games you have this symbiotic relationship with your catcher that at the end of the game, it's almost emotional how you feel about him and the way he called the game for you. So I think that if it's a bad game, the onus is on the pitcher, but there's some magical times that can happen between a pitcher and a catcher that just make it all worthwhile.
Jeremy Reed in to play left field. J.J. Putz on to pitch the 8th inning.
J.J. Putz in his last outing went an inning in the 3rd. Didn't give up any runs. The only error maybe was a couple of walks.
Remember, he'd gotten out in the 7th and had to sit for a significant period of time before pitching the 8th and walked the first 2 hitters, but was able to work out of trouble in that Monday night game. Josh Willingham 1 for 3 tonight, singled and scored back in the 4th.
You know, I know it's an important part of the game. I'll to illustrate it from Mitch from Connecticut. I was pitching in a game. Jamie Quirk was doing the catching, and you know the wiggle for you people at home is always the changeup, and then a 2 is always a curveball. Well, I was pitching in this game. We had it working together. He wiggled 2 fingers. I knew exactly what he meant. Throw a slow curveball. I'd never thrown one in my career. That's how you can get on the same game plan.
Is there something more than just calling a game that a catcher can do for a pitcher?
Yes, you know, he's your boy. He can, if he's an older catcher, he can be a father figure. He can go out there and be part psychiatrist, and other times really just your friend as you go through some tough moments out there in the mound.
3-0 to Willingham, and a strike 3-1.
And not every day is going to be great out there, and occasionally you're going to have those really bad days, and you never want a catcher who is going to blame you. You want him to be part of it and say, you know what, we didn't get the job done today. Those are the special catchers.
Well, Putz walks the leadoff hitter in the 8th inning. Willingham's aboard, and Ronnie Belliard coming up. Belliard, the only national starter who has not struck out tonight. He's popped up, fly deep to left, and walked.
You know, to analyze JJ, he's throwing a tremendous amount of fastballs. Now, he's missing the strike zone, doesn't have his great control so far early in the season. But to me, it tells me, because his split fingers, now that was a slider there, that his split finger has not been thrown a lot. And when it's been thrown, I would say maybe, if I had to put a number on it, maybe 1 out of 4 has been really his good forkball. It's telling me that that is a pitch that is not making him feel very good.
Well, he's had the bone spur in his elbow that caused inflammation. He had the cortisone shot when the Mets were on the West Coast. It seemed to work, but you're saying maybe he's still having a problem.
And he's a gamer, so he's going to try to pitch through it. He's had a couple seasons with injuries the last couple of years, but, you know, he wants to be out there.
There's a strike to Belliard with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, 1-1. Belliard has great career numbers against Putz, 5 hits in 9 at-bats. Willie Harris has come out on deck to bat for Justin Maxwell. They give them a left-handed stick against Putz. There's a good fastball for a strike, 1-2.
That was nice. Very true from JJ right there. And I'm saying it from experience. I was a split finger pitcher myself, and when I had fatigue in the forearm and elbow, that pitch would be put on the shelf right on the corner there by JJ.
One-two to Belliard. Chopper back to Putz. Gets the out at second. Martinez to first. Double play. 1-6-3 on the double play. 2 out and nobody on. Well, after his initial hiccups, Ramon Martinez has looked awfully good around the bag at second.
He really has. What a great job by J.J. Putz getting the turn and getting it to Martinez as quick as possible. And Martinez flying across that bag. See how he was ready to throw even before he got that ball? That made the double play.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Willie Harris will bat for Justin Maxwell. Final in Philadelphia tonight, Marlins 6, Phillies 2. So if the Mets can win tonight, they will regain first place in the National League East. Harris started the first 2 games of the series in center field, and he takes a strike.
The faster you can come across this bag, the more you can get on the throw. Watch, just drags his back right foot against that bag, propels them into the throw, and as soon as you let it go, just a little hop to get over the slide.
Off the mid of Castro. 1-1. Johan Santana started, went 6 innings tonight as Brian Stokes gets up. Santana allowed 3 runs, 3 hits, walked 6 and struck out 11. That sounds so strange, doesn't it? Hit to shortstop, and Martinez with another play to end the inning. So Putz pitches a hitless 8th. We head to the bottom of the 8th. Mets looking for a sweep, up 7-3. Mets over the last week and a half. They've now lost 9 in a row. 2-2 to Reed. Checks the swing. He went around. Strike 3. That's the first out here in the bottom of the 8th. And the 25th strikeout in this game.
New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Sponge Tech, America's cleaning system. By Burger King, who remind you to have it your way. By Geico. By Citi. And by Universal Pictures comic adventure Land of the Lost, starring Will Ferrell, in theaters June 5th. Angel Pagan has 2 hits for the second straight night. 2 for 4.
And that's much more than that, huh? 2 for 4, a couple runs scored.
Well, he hit a bloop and an infield dribbler for his 2 hits. But you know what?
Take it.
Yep.
Also made some fine running plays in right center field.
And Angel, with his 2 hits tonight, has his average up to 323 in 31 big league at bats this season. Lost to injury. This has got to feel awfully good for Angel to get some big league playing time, to contribute, and maybe make a bid to be around when the Mets are completely healthy again. Foul back 2-2. He lost most of last season to the shoulder injury he suffered in LA, and then he had the elbow problem this spring that set him back.
Well, with all the injuries, you're getting so many nice stories here. You're talking about Pagan right now. Sheffield playing every day. Murphy with a big night tonight.
Two-two, and it's taken low 3-2. Well, the Mets have Delgado and Church and Schneider and Reyes on the disabled list. Cora as well. Oliver Perez, of course, trying to work his way back on rehab. Beltran should play this weekend, we hope. He hopes. And there's ball 4, and Pagan is on for the 3rd time tonight. But
didn't Schneider start out with that pain in the middle of his back, but then he had a little calf injury down there while he was trying to get back to form?
Well, he's completely healthy now and itching to get back, but the Mets right now are in pretty good shape as far as their catching is concerned. And they're going to have to figure out how to make a spot for Brian when he's ready to come back. 2 aboard now for Castillo, who's been on base 4 times tonight with 2 hits and 2 walks. So the top 2 guys in the Mets batting order have been on a combined 7 times tonight and scored a total of 4 runs between them. David Wright on deck. 7-3 New York, bottom of the 8th. But there's been something of a renewed spirit on this team through all these injuries. And, you know, I think Gary Sheffield said it best. He said when Delgado, when we first found out he was going to be out for a long period of time, when they found out he was going to have surgery, he said it knocked us back a little bit. Yeah. And the Mets played very poorly in Los Angeles. But since then, it's been a different kind of team this last week. Starting with that Friday night game in Boston where Santana put the team on his shoulder.
Well, it's like any other pecking order. You know, when one guy goes down, some guys move up in the pecking order and their importance to the team. I think Sheffield carries a presence on that team that cannot be denied. He's where in his career they all want to be. And he's had to do a lot right to be where they are. Got himself a ring. All those things that all players want to get. David Wright has showed on occasion the last couple of weeks some real leadership qualities, especially with the starting pitchers. Went up to Pelfrey when he was struggling on that one game in San Francisco with the box and was real demonstrative and tough love, stern with Michael.
No, I think we talked about this in Los Angeles, but Delgado gone, it means that other voices are now being heard. 3-2, and that's not for better or for worse necessarily, but it's definitely different, and the atmosphere in that clubhouse has subtly changed over the last couple of weeks. And I think it's reflected in the way they're playing. Three and two with one out. Payoff to Castillo. Looped foul. Boy, Castillo's had some good at-bats tonight. Ramon Martinez at second. Pagan at first with one out. Again, the 3-2 to Castillo. And again, he lifts one foul.
Well, Jerry addressed it in an interesting way today. He said that, when you have instant offense, which means the home run, there's a downside to that, and that's usually strikeouts. And he said if he had his druthers, he'd prefer, although this man has helped with the home runs and the instant offense, if he had his druthers, he'd like to manage and manufacture runs and have everyone making contact and putting the ball in play.
Ninth pitch to Castillo is high and tight, ball four, and the bases are loaded for David Wright. Well, the funny thing is, the Mets went through a 7-game home run drought during the last road trip before Sheffield homered in Boston. Now the Mets have hit homers in 6 straight games with Murphy's shot tonight. So you never know how those things are going to go. But clearly, without Delgado and for the moment without Beltran, you have a lot less power in your lineup. Sheffield has 5. That's the most of anybody in the lineup tonight. David Wright has had a great start to his season, particularly in this month, but he's not hitting home runs. He has only 3 this year through his first 170 at bats.
I'm sorry, I'm banging the table again.
Yeah, well, you did that the other night during those languid late innings with all the bases on balls. 1-1 to Wright. Wilson Valdez has come out on deck to bat for the pitcher, who's hitting in the 4-hole. It'll be Valdez's Mets debut as Frankie Rodriguez gets ready to pitch the ninth. 2-1 to Wright. Swing and a miss. 2-2 to David, who's already struck out 3 times tonight. And now Brian Stokes gets up alongside K-Rod. Be the 30th pitch of the inning from Hanrahan. 2-2 to Wright. Slider in there for a call. 3rd strike. David Wright takes the dreaded golden sombrero. 4th time he's been fanned tonight. Let's check in with Kevin.
You were talking about Gary Sheffield and what he's meant to the team and in the clubhouse and things like that. Just wanted to throw in, he did a really nice, just a cool thing the other day. He got from his bat company a special 500th home run bat. And he got a special one, a personalized one made for every player in the Met clubhouse and signed it for them. Went around and gave it to him. I mean, I think that's the type of thing that I talked about the other day with Cora, talking about the team coming together, things like that. Just a really cool little unnoticed thing. That's all.
It really is. Wilson Valdez grounds one to the right side. And Belliard makes the play on Valdez in his first Mets at bat. And the Mets strand 3 in the bottom of the 8th. On to the 9th. Mets looking for the sweep, up 7-3.
video reviewed home run. Back to Saturday, Omir Santos, Fenway Park, 2 out in the 9th inning off Jonathan Papelbon. Ruled in play, overturned. Gary Sheffield on Monday, home run, touched by a fan, held up as a home run. And then Daniel Murphy hits what originally was ruled to be in play and then ruled to have hit the subway sign at the front of the Pepsi porch for a 2-run homer that gave the Mets the lead. Mets are living wonderfully as far as video review is concerned. They've got a 7-3 lead as we go to the 9th, and they hand it off to K-Rod.
Well, with the day off tomorrow, you want to get Francisco Rodriguez some work, and it is close enough that you want your closer in there. Do not want any funny things to happen with a chance to sweep the Nationals.
The Mets have had 4 sweeps already this year. 2-game sweeps of the Braves and the Phils. A 3-game sweep here of the Pirates. And a 3-game sweep of the Giants. Actually, that wasn't a sweep. That was 3 out of 4 they won in that series. There's a strike to Will Nieves, 0-1. In any event, they have only swept 1 series of 3 or more games this year. Will Nieves is 0 for 3 tonight. Grounded out, struck out, flied out. Bounces one. Out to Castillo. Nice easy hop. And the first out of the 9th. Immediately after the game tonight, join Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda for all of tonight's highlights, exclusive interviews, and Jerry's post-game reactions, and a full, exhaustive coverage of the video-reviewed home run that gave the Mets the lead in this game. There'll be much talk about that. I can't wait to hear what Adam Dunn has to say. It's all on Lincoln Mercury post-game live after tonight's game and after every Mets game this season right here on SNY.
Show me something, Colin and Ojeda. Just one replay. Get it right.
Anderson Hernandez will bat for the pitcher. Hernandez started the first 2 games of this series at second base. The former Met 1 for 5 in the series, hitting .280 on the year. K-Rod falls behind 2-0. Frankie Rodriguez trying to finish it off for Johan Santana. Christian Guzman on deck. It would be Santana's 7th win of the year. That would be tops in the National League. Now the 2-1. And it's even 2-2. By the way, we mentioned David Wright with the golden sombrero tonight. First time in his career he has ever struck out 4 times in a game.
Wow. Yep.
Two to center field. Pagan back a few strides. 2 out. So the Nationals are down to their final out of this series.
I don't know about you, Gary, but very impressed with Pagan's play tonight. He's got excellent jumps in center field. Looks like a natural out there.
Well, the Mets are now 1 out away from a well-earned day off.
Well, a couple things happen. You sweep a team, they have a day off, and that day off is spent in first place.
Guzman has struck out 3 times tonight. Threw a bases-loaded walk in the 4th, and he takes a strike. Met pitchers have struck out 14 tonight. Nationals pitchers have struck out 12. There's a lot of K's in your scorecard. 1-1 to Guzman. Bobby Parnell got 2 outs in the 7th. Pedro Feliciano struck out Adam Dunn, who was the tying run at the plate at the time. J.J. Putz a hitless 8th inning, and now K-Rod's gotten the first 2 in the 9th. So the bullpen has been just about spotless behind Santana. The Nats have only had 1 hit since the 4th inning. Johns swings and misses. And now the Nats are down to their final strike. Just a little low, 2-2 to Guzman. Just got a piece. Non-save situation for K-Rod. Beltran hopes to be back in the lineup on Friday night. But these depleted Mets have certainly had themselves a wonderful time of it in this series. The Nats have scored just 6 runs in the 3 games. Came in a hot offensive team. 2-2. Down to first. Murphy has it go off the backhand, and the ball game continues with Guzman at first. First error of the game as Murphy failed to squeeze it on the backhand.
Well, Daniel got to it in time. Just lifted that glove just enough not to get it in the pocket.
Murphy's saying he's going to play behind Guzman with Nick Johnson, the left-hand hitter, coming up. Nick has 2 of the Nationals' 4 hits tonight. And Johnson takes the curveball for a strike. Ryan Zimmerman would be next. There goes Guzman. The Mets will ignore him. He takes second on defensive indifference. One and one the count to Nick Johnson. Line drive, base hit. That'll bring Guzman around from second. Now it's 7-4 New York. And the Nats need one more base runner to get the tying run to the plate with 2 on the ninth. Third hit of the night for Nick Johnson.
Well, I think these are the at-bats that old number 17, Hernandez, always talks about, that you don't give in. Give into the temptation of letting them go by, and Johnson stayed focused and put a good swing on that fastball for K-Rod.
So if Zimmerman could get on, then Adam Dunn, who hit one about 500 feet earlier tonight, would get a crack as the tying run. Zimmerman 0 for 2, has walked twice and struck out twice tonight. And K-Rod gets ahead of him 0-1. And there's the big guy on deck. It is 16th home run off Santana back in the 4th, and he really hit it. Now Zimmerman takes low and away, 1-1. K-Rod, who made a successful return on Monday night after having that bout with severe back spasm Saturday night in Boston. Said his back still was a little sore, but nothing he couldn't pitch with. And right back out there again tonight. Fastball right to the glove. And again, the Nats are down to their last strike.
and the ball game is over. A season-high 15 strikeouts for the Mets pitching staff as they complete a 3-game sweep of the Nationals and regain first place in the National League East.
Well, big win for the Mets, gets them into first place.